Alrighty, welcome to episode 138 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has released a mixed bag of financial results prior to its Q1 earnings call held last week. Although most financial metrics worsened quarter on quarter and many worsened year on year, Tesla outlined its laser focus on continuing to aggressively grow vehicle and energy storage unit production in line with its long-term plans. Tesla explained it is intent on modulating pricing up and down according to macroeconomic induced demand fluctuations and that it's unconcerned about how this temporarily affects its profitability and other metrics. Tesla's Model Y has dominated car sales in Q1 this year. In the United States, it was the best-selling non-utility vehicle, while in Europe it became the best-selling vehicle of any kind. Tesla has revealed its Cybertruck pilot production line at its Gigafactory in Austin. The line, which is a pathfinder for subsequent high-volume lines currently being installed, is producing a steady stream of pre-release candidate Cybertrucks, many of which have recently been spotted undergoing various on-road tests. The Queensland State Government has doubled its EV rebate to $6,000 and increased its dutiable eligibility threshold from $58,000 to $68,000. This means that many configurations of the standard range Model 3 will now become eligible for the rebate for the first time since the original rebate was announced. Tesla has released its 2022 impact report outlining its key metrics in environmental and corporate social responsibility. This latest document now incorporates its Master Plan Part 3, which Tesla describes in the impact report as being a message of hope. The federal government has released some details of the partially funded NRMA National EV Highway. Unsurprisingly, its Western Australian route has all but duplicated the currently under construction WA EV network. A notable exception is that of Willair, which, if installed, would shorten the Fitzroy crossing to Broomleg by 83 kilometres, presuming charging would have been necessary at Derby. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone to another awesome episode of Ask Us Anything. As is customary, before we go for the pregnant pause, we'll try and ask anyone who is new to please unmute and introduce yourselves.
Hello, thanks, Harold. My name is Jack, a new Tesla owner as of last week. I've just recently taken delivery on, I think it was Thursday last week, of a Model Y, the all-wheel drive version. So very proud new owner. I've read the manual 3 times over, so happy to learn anything new as well. But,
wow.
Yeah,
congratulations. I didn't realise that you took getting a black and white interior very literally there,
yes.
Jack.
Yeah, I'll stick with the black and white video as well. We're in night vision mode here.
Absolutely. And well, in any case, welcome and congratulations on your awesome purchase.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if there's anyone else who is new, but I'm going to try anyway, just to get that.
Jared Hodgkiss, who's got a nice new Model Y.
Oh, okay. We'll let Jared do that. Introduce himself. For
Jared.
that matter, Jared.
Yeah.
Oh, Gerard.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gerard.
We've had this conversation before.
Yes. Welcome, Gerard. So before you introduce yourself, I think it was the words of your great friend Richard Chapman who said there will be one less whinging pom waiting for their car.
I don't know. That might be too much of a bold hope.
Yes, I think you're pushing the boat way too far out there.
Congratulations, Gerard. You've waited long enough. And you've
worth
been
the
rewarded.
wait. Definitely worth the wait. It's very much fun to drive. Not burning anybody off at the traffic lights yet. Being very sedate. Don't need to draw attention.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I did push it the other day though with my youngest fella in there. I put it down and he just went like a rocket. His face went red as he sank into the seat.
It's a great feeling, isn't it, Gerard? It really is.
Very nice indeed, yes.
Alrighty. Well, welcome back anyway. Oh, go, Richard.
No, I was just going to say, Gerard, you had a couple of questions earlier that I didn't know the answer to. I don't know whether now might be the good time to ask, or we'll see if anyone else is new and wants to say hello.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Richard. We'll just let anyone else that wants to say hello now, please do so in the next 5 seconds. Okay, Gerard, the floor is yours. Go and ask away.
All right, I'm trying to work out what they were now. I did notice on the universal charger, mine only charges at 12 amps. Is that regular?
No,
Don't.
yes and no. So
No. If
um,
it's yes, it's
no,
fine. It's a
no,
simple
no.
question.
It's the regular thing that the new ones frustratingly do and
All
seem to
right.
continue to be doing. The cure is that what you do is you wait until your car is fairly charged up, so beyond 50%.
Yeah.
You then plug the UMC into the car, but make sure that the desired charge level is lower than your current charge level. So say
All
if
right.
you're at 90%, just move the slider down to 70%, plug the UMC in, powered up, and just walk away. And anywhere between a few minutes and overnight, fingers crossed, the car should reprogram the UMC to tell the tail to change setting, and you'll get your 15 amps on your 15 amp tail and 10 amps on your 10 amp tail. Currently, the 10 amp tails are only giving out 8 amps because of an error that Tesla has introduced into those tails. It was an error
Lovely.
of interpretation of rules.
All right. Okay.
I was successful in doing that update a few days ago. So yeah, it works. You're right, exactly as you said.
And yet I was unsuccessful. So I tried it the other day, and
No,
I
it
was
worked for me.
unsuccessful for the 2
It
minutes
really
I gave it.
Yeah, about 10 minutes. Once I was, I'd left it plugged in, whilst I'd exceeded my desired charging level. Came back 10 minutes later, and it said 10 amps on there. I was just plugged into the regular 10 amp socket. Yep, went from 8 to 10, so it's all good.
Right. I'll give that a try a bit later. May not happen just yet because bed for me at 9 tonight. Because back to work tomorrow, so I might just do it when I come back.
Well, you just push your desired charging level down, so it's as long as it's below your current.
It just depends if it works in 10 minutes or it needs to run overnight. That's all.
Yeah.
It should only take 30 seconds, Gerard.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you just-
all
But
right,
The one thing you have to make sure is that the car is drawing zero current. So don't
Yep.
let the air conditioning be run. Don't leave a door open,
Right.
and so on. You've got to get all the lights off.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not that hard. You just let the car go to sleep and let it finish a charging session, and then it'll do it.
lovely. Thank you.
Since you've actually mentioned that, we could do a live test because it's green screen. Anyway, I've got a car that's saying 8 amps at the moment. It's at 53%. So going by this logic, if I set it to the minimum you can set, which is 50%, then all I should have to do is say start charging. Which I think it says charging. So now it just says it's just waiting. So if I come back to it in a little while, that should change to 10 amps.
It should.
Awesome. Well, let's just do that test during this episode. That'll make it even more awesome than it otherwise would have been. Alrighty, Gerard, you got any other questions?
No, I think that was it actually.
Alrighty. Now I'd like.
Sorry, Gerard. I might answer for you. Wasn't it about you were asking how many Ks you'd get on a Gen 3 Tesla UMC if you were connected at 32 amp? Does anyone know?
Yes.
Single
This is a performance car, isn't it, Gerard?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So what you'll get is 41 k's an hour
Oh, that's all good.
on a single phase Gen 3 HPWC or an 11 kilowatt charger basically. So the reason is it's complicated. The performance Model Ys have significantly less efficiency than the rear wheel drive Model Ys. So a rear wheel drive Model Y plugged into an 11 kilowatt 3-phase charger the screen will show 80 kilometers of range added per hour on the standard Model Y. On the performance ones, it shows 66 kilometres of range added per hour. And that sort of dovetails into the test that Rob, Dean and I did, comparing the Uber turbine wheels and tyres with the Gemini wheels and tyres on the same car. So that's why you'll get 41 k's an hour, Gerard, as opposed to a standard range Y, which you'd get 50 roughly.
Yeah, that's still good, because my charging needs are changing now, because I seem to be using the car a whole lot more. So when I was going to use the UMC would have been plenty. Now I might need something more.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right, Richard, have you got any other questions that Gerard forgot?
I think if he got the one he sticks his hooter in.
Just trying to help you out, mate, because otherwise you just come back and ask me.
That's right.
Let's move on. I think so at the moment. Oh, actually, although there is one thing. So Gerald's given me a set of your original what was it, floor mats and like the whole mat kit.
Yeah, the front and rear mats. Yeah.
And if anyone wants them, I've got them to give them away for free. So on Gerald's kindness. So if anyone needs a set, then they're mine, and I can drop them to whoever.
Put your hand down, Nigel.
I've got
awesome.
all-weather rubber mats in my car, front, rear, front and boot. So I'm all right.
All right, well, I can just pass them to either to you, Harold, at some point, or whoever's maintaining the stock, and then we can, give them out to whoever needs them at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to maybe offer it as a prize or some novel thing that we could maybe do, perhaps, or maybe we could auction them off or something like that for some reason, for charity or something, perhaps. Just spitballing it out there live on TV. Something like that. Alrighty, I'd like to welcome Charles, who's joining us not from as far a distant future as he used to, but still 2 hours ahead of most of us. Welcome back, Charles. Now, you obviously, I think you want to talk about, let me just bring it up.
I was hoping I could hear you guys talk about it, but that's okay.
This little announcement, which was done by the Honourable Chris Bowen MP, and it was basically announcing that the NRMA has received $39.3 million to basically do to WA what we're already doing for ourselves, which is, actually, we were, WA, we've been talking about succession a long time, but now we're actually getting involved in getting more territory from the Northern Territory and South Australia. So it's awesome that we're actually captured some of this little bit here, and we've actually even got Border Village now, which is pretty good.
Oh, good.
But so I guess the disappointing thing is the NRMA. I mean, I guess it's important to understand that the NRMA is an owner of ChargeFox, part owner, along with the RAC, RACV, and RACQ and others. And the NRMA obviously is going to just duplicate the low-hanging fruit because it's low-hanging fruit. So it's not really as ideal as it could have been, say, if we went up Great Northern Highway between Perth and Port Hedland via Karajini. So what do you reckon, Chuck? I mean, I see that actually Tassie's you've got a Guernsey, you've got two
Got a
extra
couple there.
sites. Yeah, you got 2 sites, which is good.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. The given we've got about 20 or so fast chargers in Tassie at the moment, they managed to actually pick 2 towns that don't have anything yet. So I don't know if that was coincidence or by design, but yeah, I think we're pretty well covered. So that's just a bit of extra capacity on the main route there.
Yeah.
But when the WA network was first announced, I basically learned names of lots of places in WA that I'd never heard of before. And when I went through the list of this network here, there were still quite a few new names. So I think they're duplicating the route, but they might be going for locations in between the other spots, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't know
a
if you
couple.
recognise things.
No, yeah, there's a couple. So 80 Mile Beach. Actually, what I might just do, sorry, is just bring up PlugShare because this can. Some of these places are on PlugShare actually. So
Yeah.
80 Mile Beach is near Pardue,
Yep.
which is, I mean, funny thing is they're even. This is how insane it sort of is, to be perfectly honest. It's like here's 80 Mile Beach.
Yeah.
So they are putting a charger at Pardue. I don't know that they mentioned Sandfire, so we'll just try and do this. So this list is sort of a hybrid of in alphabetical order by town, and then it goes into some sort of like state order. So
it goes
initially,
random. Yeah.
yeah. So the ones that are duplicated is Balladonia. That's one of the roadhouses. That's duplicated. Kaiguna, again, that's John Edwards's charger is currently there. Coolgardie duplicated. That's just out of Kalgoorlie.
I just pasted a link in the chat, which has the same list in order. The Driven posted it,
Cool, awesome.
so you
Let
don't
me-
have to. So you won't need to hunt through
Yeah,
through
no
looking for the right-
worries. Or just
right ones.
scroll down.
Does that list include Tasmania, or did they leave it off as well?
There's still the official one includes the Tassie ones, but Riz was a bit in a bit of a hurry, I guess.
I think you're being generous there, Chuck. I'd be more offended if I were you.
He even
Okay, so-
included ACT's one site, but no, that was it.
Exactly. So we got Balladonia. In fact, what we could do, sorry if I'm just ginning around here a little bit. Let me just get PlugShare on a smaller map, and then we can have them side by side.
Yeah.
But look, frustratingly, that in general terms, they're basically duplicating what they've already got. So if we just take this here and go like that, and we'll stretch it down. Okay. Here we go. Right, so Balladonia is basically there. Broome, obviously major town in the Kimberley. Kaiguna is here, Roadhouse, and we could also duplicate it to now Cataby is new, but
Yeah.
Cataby's actually, to be honest, isn't so bad because it's actually on the Brand Highway, which
On Highway 1.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is it's there it is right there, Cataby. So look, that's okay, that's good. There are people that want to go that way. Coolgardie, again, duplication. 80 Mile Beach, and that was up north, so that's just here.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's off the track. It's a few kilometres. It's quite a few kilometres off the track, but you know it is what it is. Eneabba is also on the number 1 Brand Highway. So Eneabba is
Oh, there it is
near
at the top.
at the
Up
top.
a bit.
There it is there. Yep.
Yep.
So look, that's okay. Then we've got Fitzroy Crossing. That's a duplication.
Yeah.
So Fitzroy Crossing is this one here. What is good, before I go, well, skip past, is one great gain was you've got Fitzroy Crossing and Broome, and that's almost precisely 400 kilometres, and the WAEV network is going to Derby. Now that is actually an 82 or 83 kilometre diversion that you've got to come off the turn-off at Willair. So by putting a fast DC charger at Willair, that will save most people who do have to charge 83 Ks.
Yep.
For those that don't want to go to Derby.
Yep.
So then we've got Geraldton, well, it's already open.
Yep.
And we've got Halls Creek, which is just here, and that's also on the EV network. Kununurra as well. Now, Lagrange is basically the same as what Horizon Power is going to do. It won't be here. It'll be sort of somewhere. I think there's an Aboriginal community or something like that somewhere along here in Lagrange.
That's
so
the Horizon one.
Yes, yes. And looks like NRA are doing the same thing. Lake McLeod, I have no idea where that is. I haven't really looked
I
up.
looked that one up. It's on the far west somewhere, I think. If you scroll down into the left. Is it a bit north of Hamlin? No, hang on. Zoom in near Denham.
Oh, Lake Macleod. Oh, did I just get? Oh, no.
That's
Go wrong.
USA.
EOD, not OUD.
McLeod.
Oh, sorry.
LEOD. Yeah,
McLeod.
that's it. Yeah, McLeod.
Cleo.
it is.
So, Lake
As in the
Macleod.
US.
That's the
Oh,
wrong
it's
one.
in Florida. Awesome.
That's
No,
the
Lake,
wrong one.
Lake McLeod is just north of Carnarvon. So as you go head up north of Carnarvon, you go about 70 kilometres north of Carnarvon, and you've got Quobba, which is the surfing spot. There it is there.
Ah, there we go.
So I don't know exactly where it's going to be.
Yeah, right. Because Horizon Power will be a Manila Roadhouse. So, in fact, that might be what they're referring to, actually.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So, Lake McLeod.
another
and then
double
you got Majura, which is Majura Pass, which is going to have a 50 kilowatt charger.
Yeah.
Manjimup, that's actually Manjimup is, and this is a little bit of WA EV network news. Manjimup and Albany are looking good for the end of May. So just a PSA there. So Manjimup is a direct. That's basically
Just north of
right
Pemberton.
here, just
Yeah.
here. Yeah, which is
And that
great
was-
because that's actually on the national highway as well. So that's a good spot. But again, duplication.
And that's getting a dual chem power, isn't it?
A chem power, yes, it's getting a single. I'm pretty sure it's a single chem power
A single
with-
chem power, okay. Yeah.
with a dual outlets and a
Yep.
DC
and an
backup.
AC,
AC
7.
backup. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
apologies. That was management. Meriden. Meriden is also the WAV network's going to Meriden. Neren. Someone want to give me a clue on that one? That sounds north.
That's south of Billabong on the northwest coast highway,
And again, that might just
Between
be a matter
Northampton
of.
between Northampton and Billabong.
Gotcha.
There it is.
Right, there it is,
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
Which is sort of interesting because, yeah, I mean, look, it's another location, and this might be I don't even know if there's anything at Neren. Like, like
Most
if
of these
there's
places
actually,
there isn't.
oh, there's a
There
rest
is,
stop,
there is a rest stop there, but
but that's got no power. So what they might be referring to is effectively Billabong.
Yeah.
Homestead, or I forget. Billabong's actually got two places. There's a homestead and a petrol station. Well, they're both petrol stations, but they don't cooperate very well with each other. So Neren Norseman, yes, that's on the network. That's just here.
Yeah.
Northam, yeah, Northam is also being done right here. Pardue, I'll get to that in a minute. Peter Muller, I think that's in the Kimberley up.
That's
Up
about
somewhere
100
here,
kilometres. I think it's 100 kilometres south of Karatha, southwest of Karatha on the highway.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that'll be
Near
the
Marty.
Fortescue. Yes.
So that'll be Fortescue Roadhouse. There it is,
That'll
down
be-
there on
yeah.
just
Yes,
Aye.
so that'll be near the Fortescue Roadhouse, which is where the WAV network is. Port Hedland, again, duplication. Roeburn is new, so Roeburn is just here. In fact, it's right here. So that's sort of interesting. It's out of Karatha, which is going to have one as well, but not under the NRMA, which is kind of interesting. And then you've got Southern Cross. Yes, that's actually going to have a supercharger in a few years' time, and Southern Cross just here, and the WAV network. Warman, again, Warman's going to be a great place to be in 2028 when there's an eclipse. That's going to go for nearly 6 minutes over Warman, so that's a top spot. By the way, it'll also go over all of Sydney, and Willair is actually the great one. Is a good location that is basically saves you from having to go to Derby. There's a Willair Roadhouse right right on
it's just
corner.
near the junction, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Wooramel, and Wooramel is another roadhouse, which I think is actually where the WAV network is going to go to. And Yanari, I don't even know what that is. That might not be WA.
no, that is. I think that's north of Carnarvon.
Oh,
Again.
gotcha. WA.
Yeah, now
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So is that that's not Manila? That's not Nanyatara. There's something else near there.
That
though.
might be
There is
the
another
that might
road.
be the old Barradale row house.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
where
the
the,
one that,
where the airstrip is. Yeah.
that no one that no longer exists, isn't it? That's been shut down. I
Correct.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Barradale row house hasn't existed for a number of years.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what it is. And yeah, unfortunately, there is actually, I did tweet up a reply to one of Pete's tweets where I had the two side by side. And yeah, it's for all intents and purposes, it's a duplication, which,
But honestly, Harold, is that on some of those Horizon sites that are going to have like a RT50, is that a huge problem to have a second one? I actually think it's not something we should be moaning about particularly, but for the closer in ones that are already going to have multiple chem powers, then yeah, maybe it is a bit of a false economy. But
yeah, I mean, the only thing I bemoan or regret is the opportunity. Let's just try and get these plugs down to the only ones that really matter, which are these. So only thing I'm bemoaning is, wouldn't it be lovely if there was a fast AC charger at Dalwallinu or Woburn, and then Paynes Find, Mount Magnet, Meekatharra,
yeah,
or somewhere between there, because you've got a lot of the tourist thing of Karajini.
yeah.
So not everyone wants to go the coastway.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, the one thing, I guess the one thing that I refer to is the ministerial statement. And the ministerial statement says, in quotes, this project will help close the gaps and known black spots in the network and make it possible to drive from Darwin to Perth. Well, the thing is, the only thing that's going to make this possible to go from Darwin to Perth are these 1, 2, 3, 4 charges, because all the others have already been built effectively, by next year. So, they're spending $39 million of our money to make range anxiety a thing of the past and close gaps. Well, there's a gap that's between Perth and Port Hedland down the guts. And notice how they're even duplicating a lot of what Queensland's doing. This is the route to Townsville, and then this is via Winton to Rockhampton, and then you've got another more direct. So they're already filling in these gaps. Why not do one for WA?
Yeah.
And-
Well, there's
Harold,
there is one.
Yes, Nigel.
Yeah, I've actually just sent my son, who's living in Newman at the Seasons Hotel. He's one of the managers there. A 3-phase 32 amp socket, which he's going to have fitted for the use of people charging.
That's awesome, but it's not DC, Nigel.
No,
And-
I know, but it's better than a poke in the eye with a kipper. To mix the metaphors.
As long as it's not a salted kipper, because that would burn. But
That's the only sort of kipper there is.
that's exactly right. So that's my only issue is the minister has basically said it's to get rid of range anxiety, plug gaps, provide a national route to solve the EV problem, and that this national rollout will help put more Australians in the driver's seat of cheaper and cleaner cars.
How?
Well, actually, no, it won't.
I question
because
cheaper.
Yeah.
the cost of the cars has got nothing to do with the rollout, unless you're going to like massive volumes.
There
Another
is there are a
opportunity-
couple of things I noticed on the list of locations. If you count the green dots on that map, which I didn't do, but if you look at the list, there's actually 131 sites, and they say they're going to fund 117.
Yes.
So
Now-
I suppose they're still picking and choosing what they're going to do. So I reckon maybe some of the roadhouses, which will be on standalone power systems, I'm guessing. I'm guessing
there's
they're going to
actually-
decide there's no sense to double those ones up, and they might cut some of those out. I don't know.
Yeah, so according to Australian Associated Press, NRMA spokesman Peter Cowrie told AAP, let's put it up, the company identified 131 towns as possible locations.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
of those, 29 are already in Western Australia. And, the thing is, they say, well, the federal funding is over 5 years. NRMA was intending on doing this over the next 2 years. Well, good luck with that. And the thing is, you can't blame the NRMA for picking the low-hanging fruit, bearing in mind that they are basically soft competitors with the RAC because NRMA now provides SGIO's car insurance and other insurance. So NRMA is basically gaining market share across Australia.
Yeah.
Because you can bet London to a brick that they'll be offering a discount to NRMA members, or possibly even free power, which I think they're doing at the moment, Chuck, or they're going to.
I think all the NRMA sites at the moment are free, but they're mostly 50 kilowatt sites in New South Wales, regional New South Wales. So those ones are all free. The ChargeFox sites that Australian Motoring Services bought, so that's all the RAC clubs. They're still normal ChargeFox commercial rates as far as I know. But yeah, there will just be, I suppose, the same as there are BP petrol stations and Shell petrol stations and whatever. There'll be different networks covering the same routes in the future. It might be overkill now, but I suppose the demand will be there eventually. Places like Geraldton and Broome are probably big enough to justify having two separate sites, bearing in mind these won't be built for a couple of years. But yeah, the roadhouses where there's only one roadhouse and each charger is going to need its own power supply, standalone power system. Yeah, perhaps they might cut those ones out. They might decide it's more cost effective to, I don't know, to increase the single standalone power system and have two chargers there, or a charger with dual heads that can be, can charge two cars at once, something like that.
Yeah, I'm with Charles on that one. I mean, I understand the frustration that we could have a more widespread network, but I mean, I don't know if you guys have followed like how many chargers just are down like over the last couple of weeks down south, like Dunsborough, Busselton have issues all around it. It's been really terrible. And I think redundancy, especially with the projected EVs gonna come into WA, Tesla says by the end of the year, they're gonna double. So about 10,000 cars from 5,000. Yeah. I think any extra charger, I'm just happy. I'm just happy.
Yeah, but it's not closing a gap though, Christian, and that's the key. If the intention that
fully understand that,
and that's not what I didn't say it was going to close a gap. The minister who is responsible for allocating this money is alleging or stating clearly that its the purpose is to close a gap. Well, we've shown them a gap, and it's in the middle of this state. Let's just fill it. Because where all the other parts are, there's no gap. The only gaps in all of Australia is down the guts and across the Nullarbor, the South Australian side of the Nullarbor. Because frustratingly,
and Northern Territory as well,
and down the guts. That's Northern Territory. Yeah, basically all of the Northern Territory, and a lot of South Australia, but Queensland is being well catered for as far as gaps go. With the Palaszczuk government, there's already a charger at
Mount Isa.
Mount Isa, thank you, Chuck. Yes, and Cloncurry and Hewenden and Winton and others. In fact, we'll just flick over to PlugShare, and they're already starting to fill these gaps quite well, actually. So you've really just got Camberwell, which is far, far west Queensland. And I guess Mount Isa, and there's a couple of sites, Richmond and Julia Creek, and I think they're actually part of the Queensland plan already.
Yeah, so I think so.
So that's my only personal frustration is come on, just put more, but open up more areas.
Petition them? I mean, it sounds like some of them are still in the planning state. Like, I mean, you guys have so much intimate knowledge because you've made the round, exactly where the gaps are, and there are many well-traveled people here that did the 3-phase to 3-phase. Is there a way to maybe, I mean, it sounds like there's just about 10-ish chargers or so that could really fill gaps on top of it. Is there a way to maybe do that?
Well, you can only try. I mean, look, there's no secret that originally Synergy and Horizon Power were aiming at 75 kilowatt chargers, dual outlet chargers, and they, because of a lot of information that was given to them, had basically upped that to the 150 kilowatt dual chargers, which is awesome. That's a doubling of power and a halving of dwell time. So that's something that the West Australian government did and listened, or their agencies listened to. But the thing we have to appreciate is NRMA is a private business, and it's just gotten $40 million of taxpayers' money and a map. And if anyone believes that that map's going to alter one little bit, I'd love for it to happen. But and the thing too is, if you think about them as a business, they want their brand on the main highway in competition with any other brand. And if that means that they can offer a discount to NRMA insurance holders in Western Australia, then that would make them a few dollars, I dare say.
The second frustration is that they're going with 50 and 75 kilowatt units, but half is Jetamo and half is CCS2. So,
for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
it's like there's the Nissan Leaf, and as Ken pointed out on Twitter, there's the iMEV and the Outlander, which is a plug-in hybrid. So we won't really count the Outlander. So there's 50 iMEVs and 331 Nissan Leafs out of about 33,000 cars. So, that's like less than 1.5%. So you're setting aside 50% of the plugs to cater to, 1.5% of the cars. And whether the new Leafs will continue to have Chetamo is another question, but it's a dying standard that's being phased out pretty much right around the world, except maybe in Japan. But even in Japan, it will get phased out. So it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It means a dual outlet becomes useless because there are no cars that will actually be using the second output. So it basically means it's a one-armed bandit, with a cable that's not going to be used, a plug.
So here's the cars that were sold in Australia last year, the EVs, so the pure EVs. And you can see the Nissan Leaf with 1%, which is 331 cars. I don't think there's any other car on that list that uses Chetamo.
No.
No, I think the Outlander plug-in hybrid would be the next most common one, and that wouldn't even be on that list, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, but I mean, a plug-in hybrid, you don't
They're
really
not going to plug
They don't
that.
need to charge.
exactly, in the middle of Australia on a long road trip. That's the whole point of having the generator.
And the early Leafs and all the iMEVs are going to charge just as fast on AC as on DC anyway. So it is a complete false economy. It's a shame.
So basically, yes, there's half of your $40 million wasted.
They should have given it to Tesla and just said, open up the network, and then you got reliable chargers. The majority of the cars already can use it.
100%.
Well, the New South Wales government did that with the funding that Tesla's received. So, Tesla is unashamedly focusing on New South Wales for their supercharger rollout because they've got the dollars to pay for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the supercharger rollout, I saw some pictures on a forum of Lancelin today.
It's not Tesla, Chuck.
No?
So no. So
someone said there was digging where the transformer was going.
No, so actually, I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because there's a couple of things we just need to clarify for the WEV network. I'll just get that post up. That I think Ken put it up, so I'm just going to look for it now.
Yeah, they were Peter's photos.
Yes, here we go. Rightio. So I'll get rid of the Williams photos first. Okay, so this is Lancelin. Oh, it's not a great photo actually. Anyway, so this is.
Yeah, the Lancelin photos that he had were pretty small, but the Williams ones were a bit better.
So what isn't there is the transformer, which is to the right. Actually, I'm going to try and get. I think in TMC, Chuck, there was a bit of thread. that
Yeah, on the
actually showed-
Landsland, on the
Yeah.
Landsland post. Hang on. I'll pop it in the chat.
Yeah, I think I've almost found it. There we go, supercharger Lancelin. So the original layout was going to be this. This is what was approved in council. And Tesla was going to have 4 bays and then Synergy 5 bays. And then if we scroll down, this is now Tesla's new application, which is they only need to have 3 bays. They don't need the 4th bay because they've only got 3 bays. And this is where the transformer is. Now, I think in this thread, there we go. So basically, that whether you see yellow sand, that's where the transformer is going to go. Now, one issue is that unfortunately there'll be quite a lot of locations where you'll see a pile of yellow sand and this box. So this is Lancelin. That's also Lancelin. And that's the paymate for Lance. Oh, sorry, no, that's the bollard for the AC charger.
They haven't got the circuit control yet.
No, it's a jet charge payment. Charge mate.
Charge
mate.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So now this is Williams. So this is one of the rare drive-through locations. So it's a pull-in.
Cool.
So you can have your caravan with your Cybertruck and things. Now what this doesn't show is where the pile of yellow sand is. Could be over there, where where Western Power need to install a transformer. So, and there's a little bit of CamPower inside porn where you can see these are the effectively 6 modules, or they're really 6 pairs of modules. So each module is 50 kilowatts. And there is actually space for 1 more module, so you could take this to 200 kilowatts. But basically, that's the inside. That's at Williams. The main cabinet, Synergy's installed the main switchboard, but I'm not quite sure about Williams. But Lancelin, they have not installed the transformer. And if we go to Jurien Bay, because there's actually I remember there's a photo of it in Jurien Bay. Again, Synergy have installed the CamPower charger, but that yellow pile of sand is where Western Power are yet to fit a transformer. So it directly follows that what's impeding this installation is the lack of the transformer. And unfortunately, Synergy have zero control of that. It's not. They don't install transformers. It's wholly Western Power. So in that Facebook post, I think that Ken put up, there was an implication that it might be ready in about a month. That's just not going to happen until we get transformers in.
That statement was based on Sandra's position that they were hoping to have them running by the end of May, but of course that can change.
Yeah, I think at the end of May is going to be Manjimup and Albany, and Williams is probably later in June.
Okay.
So yeah. And unfortunately, I think one of the common themes for the rest of this project is going to be Synergy is ready and willing to go, but there's a lack of transformer installations. And actually, I heard on the radio the other day that Western Power are dragging their feet on a lot of things, such as even residential and unit developments and land developments and all that sort of stuff, as far as approvals and installations, even of just green domes. So the EV network may be plagued by Western Power induced delays. Just saying.
Just going back a little bit to that CHEDEMO CCS2. Here's a post from a Nissan Leaf owner And so if you have a look up so the middle one there, where Gary says, I have a leave, and even I agree CHAdeMO is pointless now.
Yep.
So,
and CHAdeMO is illegal it's illegal to import a new car, to sell a new car in New Zealand that has CHAdeMO. So New Zealand have mandated that their standard fast DC charging standard is CCS2.
Is that right? Because they import a lot of XCS and leaves.
Yes. No. New Zealand, it's actually legislated that their approved method of DC charging is CHAdeMO, CCS.
CCS.
Whereas Australia has chosen not to set a standard.
But it's been decided by the volume of CCS cars, so it's kind of de facto.
Yeah, but for the NRMA, if it's true that they are going to install 50 and 75 kilowatt dual outlet chargers, one of which is a CHAdeMO.
Yeah.
To be honest, I hope they lose a lot of money in this venture, and
it was funny.
I don't even know what to say. It's just pretty upsetting, to be perfectly honest. That an organisation possibly worth billions of dollars, or if not many hundreds of millions of dollars, can make such a profound mistake.
Yeah.
And to be honest, for the federal government to get sucked into it, well, what can you say?
It's people that don't own EVs, so they just don't get it.
The thing is, NRMA would have the stats of their usage from their existing network, wouldn't they? They would know exactly what plugs get used.
Oh, yes.
So you'd think they'd be able,
Yes, they would
be able to work out from that. But I suppose there's probably an element of it's funny. This week I was involved in two Facebook discussions, like half an hour apart. One from someone saying, "Oh, why are they having CHAdeMO? They should never have CHAdeMO." The other one was from a Nissan Leaf owner who stopped at a BP charger in New South Wales that didn't have CHAdeMO and said, "Why don't they?" And sorry, I think the first one was the other way around. But anyway, one person was for CHAdeMO, one was against. And the Leaf owner who was at the BP, I looked on PlugShare, and there were dual CHAdeMO CCS sites, 20 kilometres earlier, 20 kilometres further on, other ones in nearby towns, things like that. It's like, well, you've chosen the one site that doesn't have it. I think it's fair that new networks start to go, only CCS to test the waters for no CHAdeMO. By the same token, when you're getting government money, the government wants it to be accessible to as many people as possible. And there's not that many.
Putting in CHAdeMO is actually contrary to that, because if you want to make it accessible to as many people as possible, then by having half catered to 1.5%, and then have the other half catered to the other 98.5%. There's a good chance, as if there's vandalism or what have you, one of the plugs is out of action, then you can't use then the 98.5% can't use the other one. Yeah. So you're not actually making it accessible to the most number of people possible.
And furthermore, Pete, it's 1.5% today. Once the EV fleet doubles, it'll be 0.75%, and when it quadruples, it'll be a quarter of that, and so on. So
absolutely.
And my final point on that is, how many of those even Leaf owners are road tripping to Kalbarri?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Joseph sold his car, so.
Did he manage to sell one before he crashed it?
Yeah, he sold it to my wife, actually, and then Rion sold it to another people. She's got the Y.
Love you if you're listening.
Is there not a adapter?
Oh yeah, Joseph's
it's non-trivial to adapt from CHAdeMO to CCS. You can go from CCS1 to CCS2 and vice versa because they're electrically compatible, but CHAdeMO is a whole nother kettle of fish.
I see.
I suppose when NRMA looks at their usage, they can change the cables on the units easily enough. Like $1,000 a cable or something like that. Is it $1,200 a cable?
Yeah, you probably have to fit another module. That's depending on the configuration, you sort of can.
Yeah, because
But why make that mistake from
That's
day
right,
one?
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I fear it would be rather difficult to tell the NRMA what to do,
Yeah.
because there'd be nothing to be gained for them to listen. They've just got $40 million and they're going to spend it as quickly as they can.
Yeah. Well, there is a silver lining, and that is if you're charging off a unit that shares its power with the other cable, the silver lining is that the other cable will never be used. So yeah.
That's right. You'll always get full rate.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Geez, you must be a real optimist, Charles, to find that silver lining. But I take my hat off to you. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I
suppose
drove,
if
I
they're
drove
doubling
for
up
5
in-
years for
oh,
Model
sorry,
3,
go.
so
I was just thinking, if they're doubling up, well, that's all right. If that one's being used, then you can go to the other station.
yeah.
And I think I'm just going to get a little thing that. What did James show me? Oh, so 9 kilowatt hours. And how long did that take? No, it doesn't. Sorry, James, what was it? Oh, yes. How awesome's the Nissan Leaf? It got 9 kilowatt hours in 39 minutes
Oh, jeez.
on a 350 kilowatt tritium ultra fast DC charger.
Papa.
9 kilowatt. How many kilowatts is that? That's 9 and
That's about 4.
Is that an ancient first gen Leaf?
It'll be about 4
Or
and a
is it like a
third.
B plus?
he's got a photo of it. There it is. A handsome.
Yeah, it's the original.
Yeah.
It's the original.
Yeah. Yeah, I
was getting 22 kilowatts. It was getting 22 kilowatts at 68%.
Yeah. Yeah, the
That's true. My maths is backwards. Yeah, it would be 22.
Yeah, the fast chargers in Tassie, a lot of them are actually about maybe 7 out of the 20 or 25 chargers are actually only 25 kilowatt chargers, but they're located in between the other sites.
Yep.
So you can, the other sites are 120 kilometer gaps. So these are 60 kilometer gaps, and the 25 kilowatt chargers are pretty much targeted at the old Leaf owners, so they can do the small hops and use the 25 kilowatt chargers, and it's more cost effective to install that kind of gear for them. Yeah, but I mean, if you're driving a Model 3, you will drive past six fast chargers that you don't need to use, going from one end of the state to the other. So
exactly. So I presume they're similar to this ABB, which is in.
That's exactly what. Yeah,
that's Tom Price. Yeah,
it's exactly what they're like. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna find a plug share link.
Just as a fly in the ointment, Harold, do we know if the Horizon RT50s that are getting installed are going to be CCS/CHAdeMO as well? It doesn't really matter so much.
No, they are definitely dual, and I think they're RTMs.
Are they using RTMs? Excellent. Okay, good. Yeah.
So a D-rated RTM. So it's because I believe the RTMs are using the, let's call it like a PC power supply, the fan air-cooled sort of switch modes, and they're RTM 50s. So they'll have 2 CCS outlets.
2 CCS2s that can be used at once. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
You'll only get 25 kilowatts, but then look, that's better than nothing on the off chance that you see 2 people, at those locations at the same time.
Yeah.
So there you go. Alrighty. Let's sort of.
Sorry, Harold, could I
Nigel.
just segue into some more charging news?
Yes.
I got stopped by the manager at Stockland Baldivis because he wanted to give me some news on chargers. One was specifically for Stockland Baldivis. They've got a Type 1 charger there that was run by ChargePoint, and it's half broken and half still working. They're replacing that with a Jet Charge. And then he said, because I asked him about putting in some fast DC chargers outside, and he said, yes, Stockland are actually looking, and that's the company Stockland, are looking at putting in fast DC chargers in a lot of their car parks around the country. And he's trying to get some put outside because they lock the gates there at sometimes. But it just depends upon how much spare power they've got in one of the transformers.
Yeah, that was
see.
an announcement they made.
Some time ago.
Find it. It was some time ago that Stockland, and they actually did have a list of their shopping centres that they were subject to. I'm not sure if Belmont was Stockland. Might not be. I could have that wrong. But there were a few locations in WA that were looking at it.
He's trying to get them put in Baldivis. But the trouble is, the spare transformer that's got some spare power is actually down nowhere near a car park, and they've got to run the power up through a retaining wall. And then that will cause troubles with water leakage and so on, possibly. So I'm not too sure it'll happen there. But he's been trying, which was very nice of him to come and find me and talk to me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just been trying to find it, but it's just not going to happen for me. But yeah, that's a great development, Nigel.
Oh, someone put in a link.
Oh, this will be James, because James is an awesome producer, and it's Lendlease. No, that's Lendlease. That's not Stockland.
I'm still finding Stocklands, but that's Lendlease, who have a lot of shopping centres, also doing the same
Yeah.
across
I
Australia.
was at the Sunshine Plaza. That's where there's actually a supercharger in Queensland, but bearing in mind it's hard to find because Tesla doesn't provide precision navigation once you're under a underground car park. Yeah, right. So that's Lendlease. Yeah, so
he couldn't tell me the make of what they were, or the company that they were talking to, whether he knew and wouldn't tell me or didn't know, so couldn't tell me. But I just thought that was interesting that they are actually trying, and he's trying locally to get them there as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, it's good for people that don't have off-street parking, so where they really need to go somewhere for fast DC charging. So a shopping centre would be ideal. But my only concern is none of us who live in a house with our own, readily accessible power supply would pay retail rates for double the cost of electricity when we could do it for half the price at the most from home.
Yeah, it just depends if you're in you get home and you're at 10%, you've got to go straight out and within an hour or two and do a 300k run. Well, a nice fast DC charger close by would be handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there seems to also like a lot of ride shares and also more and more taxis coming up in between like stops. And they'll need more options in Perth. Like the RAC charger seems to be very heavily used. And then there are not many options there. So I think this would be great.
And Christian, the reason why the RAC headquarters charger is being used so much, and to a lesser extent the Treendale charger, is because ChargeFox has done deals with Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, I think Porsche, and they've done what Tesla learnt they shouldn't have done, which is provide free charging for a number of years. And the only thing that an EV owner loves better than free charging is precisely nothing. And unfortunately, people just sit there and charge up to 90, 100% if their batteries will take it every day because it's free.
That was me at the supercharger today.
Well, yes.
That's the point.
That's right, because Elon Musk in his wisdom gave Ken free unlimited lifetime supercharging.
That was the only car at the supercharger. Everyone was queuing up for the slow charger.
Because it's free for them yeah. So
Did I tell
Christian,
you
that's the
guys
problem.
last week what happened to us at Williams with that? So we were in charging with the X, and we were up at like 95%, but there were two other threes on the charger. Obviously, there's only 3 stalls there, and we were just having some lunch. We were like, well, there's no other Teslas here, so that's all cool. Then another one pulled in, And I was like, oh, I don't really want to get up because I'm still eating my dinner, lunch and all that. And it's like, I suppose about. And just at that moment, the power to the charger cut off.
Wow.
And I was like, and we were both like, whoa, we've never seen that before. So Tesla software obviously reasoned that another Tesla's pulled up, and I had the nav set to our home, which was only 150 k's away or something like that, and we had way more range than we needed. So it knew that our next stop was home, and we'd get there easily with loads of range, and it literally shut off the power.
But when you say shut off, it just stopped your charging session, so it didn't die.
Well, no, it didn't die. Absolutely, definitely not, because the next person plugged in. But I've never seen a supercharger do that before. It literally, because it said like charger error, no power, or like on the app. I wish I'd taken a screenshot of it now, but
that sounds like a coincidence to me. If Tesla were if Tesla were engineering it, they would have instructed your car to stop charging.
Yeah, and set the limit to 80%, which it does at Karrinyup often.
Yeah,
if it's full, if it's busy.
It was just it was a weird thing that we've just never seen before, and we were both like, I don't know, just at that moment, I don't know, it just seems strange, but
could be that car. Yeah. Who did you buy that car from?
Someone dodgy.
Definitely.
But by the way, my charger is still at 8 amps, so I'll try and start charging.
Gerald's did work, by the way.
Oh,
very
it has
good.
done it. So thank you all. One less thing for him to whinge about.
He'll find something.
Thanks for your help, though.
That's weird, Harold. Are your tables actually marked as 10-15?
I think so. Yeah. I haven't looked to be perfect. They are brand new. The only difference is my wife's car. This car's in my office because it's a spare, and it's not hooked up to Wi-Fi. So I don't know whether that's a little asterisk where you need to be hooked up to Wi-Fi. That's whether the car will fetch something from the internet to do to your tail.
That's not impossible, yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. So at the moment, I did turn charging. Let me start charging, and it still says 8 amps. Well, it's a little bit small. That print's small, but it's saying 8 amps.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I haven't hooked it up to Wi-Fi, which I could try tomorrow. But anyway, that was an experiment. Alrighty, so has anyone else got any other questions? We've sort of done charging to death.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my fault, sorry.
No, it's all good, Chuck. No, it's good. Like I said, I think it was helpful to vent, as a little bit, just out of, well, whatever. I think it's an opportunity lost. Let's just put it that way. Anyway. Alrighty, anyone else got any other questions or comments?
I have another question.
Yes, Christian.
I messaged Pete, and he was very helpful. So I was wondering, I'm a paid member, and we were planning to go down south, and I still don't have a T2 cable, which I need to buy, and I was wondering if I could get one from the club. So I emailed secretary at Tokwa, but I never got any reply. We had to cancel because the kids got sick and we got sick and whatever. But what is the protocol outside of Wednesday's chat to get something from the club?
Right. So what you need to do is give the secretary of Tokwa a kick in the rear. Hang on. Let me just. No, that's all right. I needed to have replied to your email. I don't know when that came in, Christian. If it came in about 5 weeks ago, I was really, really busy. Now, we don't have any new cables at this stage, but we do have loan ones. So we keep a healthy stock of loan cables.
Yeah, it was just for that weekend, exactly. And I think it was like 1.5 weeks ago or something like this, or 2 weeks ago, something in that ballpark. Yeah, but
okay,
I was just wondering, is it the email? Is it the right one? Like to secretary?
Yes, it is. Yep. What I'll do, if you can ring me on, you can ring the club on 62623131. That's our hotline, our support hotline. And alternatively, you can ring you can send a text to this number in the chat, or better still, ring it. It's always better to ring.
Or if you email info@Tokwa, then I'll harass Harold
info
separately.
yes.
I've tried info@Tokwa, like that was for my very first trip in I think
November.
October. I also didn't get anything back there. So just want to say I tried now both. I was like, I'm doing something
Hang on,
wrong,
it's getting
or
hot
it
in
goes
here.
into
I've got to
spam.
put the aircon on. But yeah, so ordinarily we'll get right back to you, Christian, but you can always borrow a Type 2 cable at any time. We keep a healthy stock of Type 2 cables, albeit at the exclusion of selling new ones.
Oh, that's actually so. You guys also sell Type 2 cables?
Yeah, but we don't have any new ones in stock. So, but we do have quite a healthy stock of loan ones.
Of loaners, yeah. It was just I mean, ordinarily, like it's just I rarely need it, or I would actually never really need it because I'm usually at home, or I mean, you have DC chargers, or then you plug it in with the 5-pin 32 amp and all the other tails. So you basically are quite flexible already. But there is this occasional thing where you may need that, and so I was just wondering. But thanks. I'll try next time to message you or call you. I think that's better. Thanks.
Call is the best because it when it rings, I'll always answer it regardless. The problem with, if you send an email or a text is sometimes you go, oh, I'll get back to that because, you don't have to do immediate response and then things get in the way. But there's nothing more immediate than a phone call, even though a lot of people
absolutely
don't do phone
understand.
calls.
And to be fair, like Pete already offered to help out, and but I was just wanted to do it like how it's most convenient for you guys. And anyways, like our plans got a bit sidetracked, but thanks, really appreciate it.
No worries. Now we've got a question from Martin about a Model 3 2022 lithium iron phosphate or LFP battery. So that's a standard range battery. And the question was at what levels to charge it at. Now the great news is if it's an LFP battery, and in fact, it'll actually have, when you could look at your charging screen, and this is always the dead giveaway, when you look at your charging screen, and I'm just bringing it up now, sorry about that. If we bring charging, you'll see 50%, you'll see your marks, 50% to 100%. What you do not see is the word daily here and trip here. What that means is you can always and forever set your car to 100% and forget it and leave it, and you can charge it every day at 100%. If you go on a long European holiday, you can just leave it plugged in at 100%. And that is precisely what Tesla recommends officially for LFP batteries that have this. Actually, this screen has now changed completely. So the car now is gone on the latest versions of software. It's now just a line basically. But if it doesn't have the word daily here and trip here, always set it to 100. If it does have daily and trip, set it to 90. And you don't have to worry about 80%. The Model X that Richard has bought off me after 220,000 kilometers spent its entire life being charged to 90%, and it's lost less than 15% of its capacity.
11.5% actually. I worked it out today for a LinkedIn thing, and it will continue to stay at 90%.
Yes, because that's what it's built for, and that's how it should be used. So that's an answer to your question, Martin. If it's LFP and it doesn't have the word daily or trip, 100%, anything else, just set it to 90.
Just quickly harking back to the earlier conversation, Tesla have stock of Type 2s at the moment. So if you're chasing one, $310.
Very reasonable.
Posted the link.
And they have stock in Australia.
Yeah.
And they're 7.5 meters, which is similar to what we had.
Just want to mention Don Xu from Empower Solar Perth. They sell, but they're just waiting on the stock, should come in this week. they're selling 11 kilowatts, 7 meter for 235.
Yeah,
Don't
but no,
buy
but
it.
don't
Don't
buy
buy
an
it,
11
Christian.
kilowatt one.
No?
Yeah,
No.
do not buy it because 11 kilowatt one passes 16 amps 3-phase, which is fine. That's all your Tesla can draw from 3-phase. But if you go to, for example, the WAEV network AC chargers, which are 32 amps single phase, your car will only be able to pull 16 amps single phase, which is not very much. So rather than 7.6 kilowatts,
about 3.5 kilowatts.
yeah. So
make sure you get a 32 amp, 22 kilowatt Type 2 cable, or you're wasting your money.
Oh, thank you.
And also, Christian, that could also follow if you say, for example, buy yourself a secondhand Kona Electric or an Ioniq or quite a few of the European cars. They too only have single phase onboard chargers. So,
And just to clarify on that, the link that James just posted in the chat from Bunnings, they are a 16 amp, 11 kilowatt cable. Don't buy it.
Ah, that's really good to know.
And
basically the one from Tesla, this Tesla one is 32 amps. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
it even says so.
Ken, that ad on the Bunnings says it's a 5 meter cable, Type 2 to Type 2, 32 amp 3-phase.
My experience is they're not.
If you're going to buy a $165 cable, I don't think you should bother. But it's interesting, if Bunnings are selling EV stuff, the world is changing.
And on top of that, it's $55 more than buying one from Tesla. That's a Medikeys branded one.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
And they're out of stock.
And is it in stock anywhere though? No, it's not. So for example, it's not at Willerton, Cannington, Melville, Eastvic, Park, Harrisdale. Let's extend the store search: Coburn Central, Maddington, Bibra Lake, Belmont, O'Connor. And if we keep going, it's not in Claremont, Armidale, Homebase, Subiaco, Bayswater, Osborne Park.
Or
and it's not at Kalamunda. Oh, look, it's at Midland. And Balcatar. It's in Balcatar.
Oh, that's not far from me. I'll go get you one.
And it's in Wangara.
Yeah, but it's $55 more than a decent cable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's $1 a day for a year. Yeah.
I was going to say Jet Charge have good cables as well. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes stock is a thing, so I just thought I'd check if Tesla had them, and they do. And they've been pretty snappy with their freight recently, so not a bad choice.
Yes, anyone that does buy, don't get caught buying the 11 kilowatt. In general, it'll be okay around Perth, but for example, it's when you're on a road trip and perhaps one of the WAEV network chargers isn't working, or even if someone's there, you can just plug in to the AC one, and you'll get twice the speed. So, just pay the extra $50 and get the better cable. And like I said, if you go and buy a Jag I-Pace or anything that's not a Tesla almost these days, they all seem to have single phase chargers that need 32 amps. And Dwayne, thank you, Dwayne. This is the new.
That's cool, Alex.
It is cool.
He likes dark mode, but this is the new setup. So they've gotten rid of the car symbol.
And it's much more responsive now. You can actually slide the thing. Whereas before, trying to get your finger on the triangle was always a little bit of a lottery.
Now notice I can tell this is a long range car because it has daily and trip. So this is one that correctly should be set to 90%.
Yeah.
So
what's also really handy with that new update?
So 2 seconds, Pete. Paul, you just were saying something?
I was just asking, what was the update number for that? You know, like
12.3 or something.
Oh,
something like that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. Sorry, go, Pete.
I was just going to say what's
611. Sorry, Pete. It was 611. Sorry, it was 611. Apologies. No, it wasn't. So let's just get this right so that we can do this. It was 12.1. Go, Pete.
Okay.
12.1, that's right. Yeah, no, what's handy with this new update is when you change gears now, so from drive to reverse, or even if you go into neutral, you can elect for it to give you an audible cue, which is actually really handy. I actually wrote an email to Tesla back about 2.5 years ago about this, because what can happen is if you're trying to disable autopilot or cruise control, and you go past if you go past the tent on your right stalk and you're driving really slowly or you're stationary, you'd actually put it in reverse by accident. So having that audible, and it actually sounds really cool. It's got quite a futuristic, pretty cool sound.
It's a ding.
Yeah.
It's a ding and a dong. It's a ding in one direction and a dong in the other. And it's the first thing I turned off, Pete.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it's handy. And it's already helped me. I put it into neutral the other day when I was trying to put it into reverse, and it has a slightly different tune and even if you put it into reverse, so into drive and then reverse, that's different as well. So no, I actually like it. So
did you try the other feature it has too is increased font size, except for things?
It's not that much of a difference though, and the screen looks a lot busier. But yeah, I've left it on the bigger, because I'm half blind anyway, but I left it on the bigger font. But yeah, it's not as classy as the small font.
So Pete, have you discovered Pete mode as opposed to Joe mode?
I have not.
That's coming to a new release soon to us, very soon. Pete's mode. Alrighty. Anyone else got any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Glenn.
Guys, further to a question that I posted on Facebook this afternoon, I had a scenario where I was plugged into the end of a long cable on a long run and went to charge at 32 amp single phase with a UMC, and I was experiencing some volt drop down to about 208 volts, which is kind of what I was expecting. But I observed what I think was the vehicle deciding that at that voltage, I couldn't have 32 amps and it wound me back.
Yep.
I've had some challenges at that particular site before where the voltage can at certain times of day be lower, and it doesn't want to charge or it winds the current back. Is there somewhere I can make an adjustment?
That's the DFO, is it not?
No, that was at Valley Social in the Swan Valley.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So you can absolutely wind the current down yourself in the car. So I'll just open up.
But I wanted to wind it up.
Not once the car has decided. So what the car will do is if the voltage goes below spec, which is minus 10%-ish, a bit more than 10% off 240 volts. So if it's lower than 220, it'll start pulling the current down. And in fact, my wife's car, if I tell it to actually start charging, I've got a 10 amp plug, but it's only doing 8 amps at the moment. And I'm just going to start it. And in fact, we'll let it spool up. So it's actually charging, it's just ramping up slowly to 8 amps. And you'll notice that the voltage is now 226 volts. So, and that will actually get worse as the cable is 225. So it gets worse as the cable heats, the extension cord heats up.
Yep.
And actually it's kind of done in a loop, so it heats up even better. And that can actually go lower. So, and it does vary actually. I think sometimes in the middle of the day, the voltage actually goes down a bit because Western Power are trying to, there you go, 224. So that's happy enough at 8 amps. I dare say if I was if it was getting that sort of voltage at 32 amps, it would actually back off. So
Yeah.
it's a safety feature that the car does because it's worried that you might be melting a cable somewhere because it knows what the grid voltage should be roughly, and once it gets perilously low, it will go down, and the slider then becomes the maximum. You can go less, but you can't go higher than what it's dialed down to.
I had it plugged into the end of a 60-meter long extension cord.
And it's single phase?
It was a 3-phase extension lead. I was only obviously using 1 phase.
Oh, well, there's a problem. So yeah, so regardless of the fact that it's a 3-phase cable, one of the problems of single phase is you actually double the impedance, the resistance in single phase. If it was a 3-phase cable, the resistance would have halved and the volt drop would have halved. So your problem, you sort of answered your own question. I guess in one sense, you're stretching it, and the car said, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to err on the side of safety," because it's concerned it could have been a short piece of cable with a crappy connection, and you could start melting things. But warming up a long extension cable isn't going to hurt anything, but the car doesn't participate in that activity.
The cable wasn't going to get hot. It was a 6 mil cable.
Precisely, but it's super long and single phase. So you're basically going all the way up the active and all the way back down the neutral. So the car, just as a matter of policy, is there to protect whatever it's connected to.
Yeah. So sometimes in regional locations where we could have lower voltages, we're just not going to get to charge as quickly, I'm guessing. So we can't override that, even when we're expecting a low voltage.
Most regional places ought to be within Western Power or the Office of Energy's specification, which is 230 volts plus or minus a percentage. As a standard supply. So 208 is a bit low.
Yeah, we've got our own substation or roadside transformer out the front, but yeah, it's a fairly long cable run from there to where I was.
Yeah. So just get a shorter run or fatter cable.
Yeah.
Or better still, 3-phase, because like I said, 3-phase you'll halve the volt drop.
Yeah, I only just put a 32 amp socket in there for an event. I thought, what have I got to test it with? And I thought, I know of a great 32 amp load. I just have to test 1 phase at a time. But I couldn't get anything more than 24 amps constantly. So it was a bit of a pain in the butt, but I was expecting some volt drop over that distance, of course.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you can just go to Google and look up cable and volt drop, and it'll tell you straight away whether it's single phase or 3-phase. And it's doing exactly as it should do. It's protecting whatever it's connected to.
Right. No worries. Thank you, gentlemen.
All righty. Anyone else got any questions or comments?
Just one, Harold, what is the QR code that comes up on the app?
Which app, Carmen?
The Tesla?
Where does it come up?
I got a message. I don't know what I did.
Is it your loot box? Is it to do with your loot box,
maybe? I think
maybe?
it's the order number. No, not away. I wasn't ordering anything.
You ordered a Model Y.
No, I didn't. Definitely.
You sure now?
Definitely not.
Where is it? I don't see a QR code, Carmen.
Yeah, I don't know what it's.
Oh.
Oh.
So I don't know. No, there's no QR code that we're aware of.
No.
Oh, actually, that reminds me too. No, there isn't one, unless someone else has seen it.
Right.
But one thing not yet. No, there's no QR code, Carmen.
Okay. I'll make a note or take a screenshot if it comes up again. I was fiddling around and it came up with a QR code.
Yeah, I don't think there's one at the moment. there is something I do want to show everyone, but it's just got to load on my computer. I guess one thing that you go on.
I was just going to ask, yeah, because someone at work was asking about the owner's code and that stuff. So I was testing it myself, and it took me to like the page, but it was like solar, and I was like, well, how are they supposed to order a car?
You mean using your referral code?
Your referral code, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Takes you to the US site. You have to select the Australia, and it'll come up with the other cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
So
default referral code takes you to the US.
To the US. Okay, I'll let
And
them
I
know
suppose I may as well admit today that I've cancelled my MYP and changed it to MY long range.
Oh, good job.
Good
Yeah, because I don't need the zoom, but I do want that extra bit of range. Thanks, Rob Dean.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's something that I bought a performance at my Model Y performance for my wife because I didn't want her to have the standard range car. I wanted her to have a long range car. But in that use case, where it wasn't about the power, it was about the range, that endeavour specifically failed because a standard performance Model Y at the 90% that you'd normally charge it shows a range of 428 kilometres, and a standard range Model Y at 100%, which is how you always use it, also shows 428 kilometres. So there really is no extra meaningful range in the performance compared to the standard range. But as I think it was Jack and Gerard knows, the performance goes like a rocket, and that's just an awesome thing to own, but not for range purposes. So yeah, Steve, if the performance was to get the range, then you've made a correct decision.
That's why I chose that one. And we have talked about towing, and I do have a camper trailer, and just getting that extra bit, even at 150 kilometres between new EV charging points, which stands Chatamo, but I'll be a lot more comfortable in my anxious moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about. You just want to know that you get the range that you want, and that's the whole point of waiting for the larger battery pack.
And delivery date, it says, is June to July. So I'm sacrificing a delivery in May for June or July if those delivery dates end up being accurate. So I didn't see it as a huge impost.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so yes, I did refer myself today, which is why I know Paul's answered Paul's question.
Oh, cool. So do you get double?
It said 3,500 points at some point.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you get the full amount. You get the 2,000 plus the 1,500.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
so you-
Yep.
Referrer
Well,
and referee.
Oh, cool.
now I
Very
just have
good.
to spend it. Now I was going through the dilemma of taking off the 21-inch wheels and etc. and replace them with 19s. So what am I going to do with these? Do I have to go out and buy them? And how am I going to get all that sort of stuff to get that extra 10%, which is what Harold and who was it?
Rob.
And Rob, yeah, your example, changing the wheels. I said, okay, well, that is something useful for me. But I've ordered with the 19-inch wheels on the long range, so problem solved
Yeah,
there
very
too.
good. Yeah, and that's a quiet recommendation to anyone that does buy the long range Y. Do get the Gemini wheels because they are going to be more efficient than what were the other ones called?
Yeah, the 20-inch Uber
Sport
Turbine.
Runner. No, not Uber Turbines. The other one that you
Induction.
get.
Induction, that's it. Induction, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And
So-
also with $18,000 less, that kind of helps too.
Yeah, well, indeed. The price difference is a lot. But yeah, it's all, unfortunately, it's all about the wheels. For the performance, it's basically all about the wheels. And we actually did tweet out the tail of two wheels which basically shows, and what we did was we drove from Byford to Williams to Byford, and that round trip of 272 kilometres, bearing in mind that was range adjusted, so there was a 1 kilometre discrepancy between the two cars. So it's not actually 158 watt hours, it became 158 and a half, and that's about a 12% difference. That's a 12% difference, and in 12% difference between the performance down to the Geminis. If you go from the Geminis up to the Uber turbines, it becomes an 11% difference, because, you know, when you multiply it one way, it changes slightly. But that's basically the story. And of course, I think there was a comment that both cars were built on the same day. The tyre pressures were set to 42 cold as per Tesla's spec, and the cars were driven spaced apart in opposite order. So what we basically did was I think it was Rob went out to Williams in front, and then I went out in front from Williams to Byford. The next test we're going to do is compare a performance Model Y with Gemini wheels to a rear-wheel drive Model Y with Gemini wheels. And then that way we'll find out what the penalty is to push the front motor in that test. And then, of course, the acid test is, if we've done our test correctly, if you add up those two differences, it should then be equal to our third test, which is a head-to-head comparison between a performance Model Y with performance wheels and a standard range Model Y with Gemini wheels. And if the test is correct, the sum of those two differences should be the same as the two opposite cars. So hopefully, weather permitting, we'll be doing that on Friday. But yeah, the other thing you could do, Steve, or anyone else that's bought a performance, is do what I've done and get a set of Geminis on the open market. Tesla very generously offer a set of 4 Geminis, including wheel cap, the actual covers and tyres, for a very reasonable $6,500. If that's a bit expensive, you can just buy the rims alone for approximately $946 each plus GST. So it's a lot better just to go and find someone that's changed their rims for something else and buy the whole set off them. But anyway, something that I think is important to bring to people's attention is this. At first blush, you'd think, oh, this is something from Tokwa, that's pretty cool. And it says, welcome to the Tesla family. And it says a whole lot of stuff. And it's got a big PlugShare logo, and you can get that on Google Play in the App Store. And this has actually been found on the windscreens of quite a few cars I believe in the Baldivis area, and I think possibly further afield. It's important to state that this is not a flyer that anyone that we know at Tokwa, and certainly none of the committee at Tokwa, has ever made and ever distributed. It is not ours, it never was ours, and it's never going to be ours. So if you see it, please just chuck it in the bin. And if you see someone spreading them, please let us know. Because they're basically
me, Harold, it wasn't me.
Oh, I know that. No.
He sent me the picture. I go, oh, that looks good. Can I use that? And he goes, no.
No, the reason why I do know it's not yours, Nigel, is it hasn't got the QR code for your referral code. So I knew it wasn't yours. But yes, please, if you see this, apart from throwing it in the bin, please let us know where you saw it and when you saw it. And we are trying our best to find out who it is and getting them to stop it, because it's not something that's sanctioned by the club or created by the club.
So did you say South the river?
Sorry, say that again, James.
Have you only found it down South the river, or is it all over Perth?
I think at the moment it's only been in the Baldivis area, to be honest, but I don't know that for certain. If Rob was on the call, he might know a bit better, but I think at the moment it's mostly Baldivis area.
Be interesting to know the motive, won't it?
Well, I mean, in Baldivis is one charger, which is at the Stockland Shopping Centre.
So what are they doing? Just they're parking the Teslas up, and then someone's just coming by and slipping them on the windscreen.
Yes,
Yeah, because
precisely.
there's a few people around who don't use PlugShare.
Yeah, so I guess this motive. I guess the motive here is if you read the script, you know, it's great to see it growing as more transitioning. Charges have become more crowded. In order to assist drivers in planning their trips better with regards to available charges, please kindly ask that we kindly ask who we is interesting, because that's implying that the we is
The
Tokwa.
club.
Kindly ask that you join us and check in on PlugShare. Now, just this is my personal opinion. This is not an opinion of the club. I do use PlugShare. I use it for two purposes. I use it to indicate when I've weed on a tree, like a dog would do. It's a I was here, especially if I'm on a road trip. I'll do that and I'll take a photo and whatever. And I'll also use PlugShare if I know that either the station is not working when the last report was it was, and then I'll say it's not working, or the opposite. If it wasn't working and I now find it to be working, I'll post in PlugShare. Any other time I post is at my absolute discretion on whether I feel like it or not, or whether I feel that, you know, I need to be tracked everywhere I go. There are other people that have a stronger opinion that think that it's every EV owner's obligation to use social media to tell the rest of the world about what they're doing here and there. What they'll argue is that, well, it was frustrating when I got to a place and found someone charging there and they hadn't checked in on PlugShare, because had they checked in, I might not have wasted my time to come here to get free charging or charging. The problem with that argument is that falls down as soon as you get the scenario of someone just turned up, has just plugged in, was just about to check in on PlugShare, and then you just turned up. You will be no less pissed off at the lost opportunity because someone is in front of you and you don't like it. And there's many people with that kind of attitude that forcibly want other people to use what is effectively a private company's social media platform, because that's all that PlugShare is. If you went to a WIEV network charger or any ChargeFox network charger, you will get the live status of that station live. But again, it doesn't stop someone from turning up just as you were about to get there and plug in. So anyway, that's my little personal rant over.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
So go Chuck, go Chuck.
Yeah, the argument about you know, people who check PlugShare to see if the site's available or not, that will only be useful if 100% of people do it. And I think now it's about 30%. That's from talking to the network operators here, at least about 30% of usage is PlugShare tracked. And so it's completely useless for that purpose unless you have 100% of people doing it, which you won't do. And there's many legitimate reasons that you mentioned for not doing it. The benefit of PlugShare is just to get a general idea of, is this site reliable, that kind of thing. Yep. And you only need a couple of people a day to do it. And that's all you need.
I tend to disagree with this. PlugShare I use to say, if I turn up somewhere and it's empty, fine, I'll plug in and I'll put it on PlugShare that I'll be back in 30 minutes or whatever. But if I turn up and somebody's plugged in, I go, oh, okay, that's fine. And I look on the thing, oh, look, they're going to be another hour and a half. That's fine. I'll just park in an ordinary parking spot. And then if I'm plugged in and I put it on PlugShare and I see someone who's registered as waiting, I can message them and go, I'm going to be another 5 minutes or 10 minutes, so hang on, or whatever. I find that's really useful. I noticed, where was it? I think on Saturday, I was at the shopping centre, plugged in, and I noticed someone was waiting. So I messaged them and said, I'm just finishing the shopping. I'll be up within 10 minutes. And they messaged me back, thanks very much for letting me know. And I was up there within the 10 minutes and drove off, and they reversed in and plugged in. I find it's useful for that. Yes, you can check on it. There's some guys around here, Baldivis and Rockingham, who do not use PlugShare, refuse to use PlugShare because it's free and they're going to park there for 4 hours and I'm going to get a full charge and sod everybody else type of attitude.
I must admit, Nigel, I'm kind of with you on this. I use it religiously and literally put it to the minute, you know, if I can, when I'm going to be there, so that someone else knows that they can get there at that time and I will be moving on. So, but yeah, look, it is voluntary, but because I've had that before, I've been like, oh, great, that one single charger that's there, that's, you know, it should be free, and oh no, yeah, I would have gone somewhere else or just gone on with my day and charged later if I'd have known that.
Last week, someone was plugged into the Tesla and charger, and that's fine. And they got down, they're going to be another 47 minutes or whatever. And I used the Type 1 charger because I've got an adapter, and I was going to be about half an hour. And when I was on my way up, I checked, and somebody was waiting. And I messaged them and go, hurry up. The Tesla charger's now free because they've gone. So you can get in there.
I would also add that sorry, Pete, just one last thing. I never ever use PlugShare for superchargers ever, because I'm like, well, that's already, you can already see that in the nav.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Pete, go on.
No, I was just going to draw the distinction between using PlugShare in the city and using it on road trips out in the countryside. So if you're driving regionally, I think it's, you know, I think there's a much stronger case to be using it in regional areas because in the city, you know, 90% of people charge at home, and, you know, if they're charging at that charger, it's probably because they just want to get some free electrons. And if they need to charge, there's probably other options. So it's not really the end of the world.
Yeah.
But if you were driving from Broome to Fitzroy Crossing and you decided to go to Derby and made that 82-kilometre trip to that charger, only to find that someone's sitting there for 2.5 hours charging, you wouldn't be very happy. Yeah.
A great antidote to that is actually PlugShare itself without the person intervening. So if we look at the Puma in Cluden near Townsville, this is done by EV Networks, and this is the live status shown on PlugShare of the 4 cable connectors on the EV network. Now, if we just go across to the Queensland Electric Superhighway in Ayr, this is a network done by ChargeFox. And look at that, there's 0 live status. So then if we go across to WA to a single town that has 2 fast DC chargers, if we have a look at the Tokwa DC charger, which is done by another provider, it has availability of 1 because there's 1 CCS unit available. If we go to the Synergy WA EV network, there is 0 status because ChargeFox do not participate in a plug-in with PlugShare. And if they did, then you wouldn't have to rely on someone keeping up to date their check-in. You could just look at the live status on PlugShare.
Yeah.
And that's because they want you to go to the ChargeFox app and check on that.
Yeah, and maybe also because PlugShare probably do charge a price to have that information on their system. But the point is that EV Networks and Smart Charge do. And that's on PlugShare without having to rely on someone remembering to check in or using. I think some people have got plugins, so it automatically does geolocation on their Android phones, and it'll automatically check them in once they're sort of within a metre or 2 of the charger, I think. I've heard of that. But anyway.
Cool.
Well, it's just controversy galore tonight on and dissension and debate.
Lucky you guys. or on Zoom and not in real life. So there'd be blood.
Yeah, yeah. There'd be blood on the. That's right. There'd be blood, or is it just red wine on the floor?
Oh, yeah.
Now something
Tragedy
that had a lot
either way.
of. Yeah, exactly. Now something that had a fair bit of blood, but was pretty spectacular nonetheless, was this thing. So that's a before photo of a certain rocket.
That was great.
And that's like a pretty good looking bit of bit of concrete that looked pretty intact. There's a few cracks, and as it turns out, those cracks turned into ton-size concrete slabs that were just being pelted everywhere. And in case you thought that was no big deal, this video will show otherwise. Now, just in case you missed it, this was a pretty good car,
Whose was that?
which I think just got written off. But wait, there's more.
Holy!
Wow.
That's hilarious.
Maybe a flame diverting trenches of blood.
I don't understand why they don't just dig a great big hole, let all the seawater in, because it's below sea level, and just use that as the suppression system.
The good thing is they still got the footage, didn't they?
I did.
Yep.
On that camera, yes, I did. Absolutely. And the rest of it is just it clearing
I think
off.
that $6,000 camera over there, not so much.
Yes.
Didn't they have one underneath the rocket as well?
Oh, the camera, yeah, that's
Yeah.
always true.
So it's not the camera bodies that's expensive, it's the lenses.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Oh.
and that was just
It
some
was
of the
amazing
footage.
though.
Oh, that was brilliant. I was
man,
so stoked.
engines flaming out, things
Yeah.
breaking off. It was just,
Oh,
it
no.
was awesome.
When Elon says the best part is no part, he means the best ground is no ground. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, and he actually, I'll just get this awesome. This is from Everyday Astronaut.
Oh,
I just turn the sound off just in case I get a copyright strike. But this is a tracking shot from the husband of one of the co-presenters, and this is using personal equipment. And obviously, there's no secret that the main reason why a few of those Raptor engines stopped working was because they spat up pieces of concrete at themselves. And then this is when
They had a run. They called
it
it
went
a
away.
run, didn't they?
Yeah, a little one.
But people have been saying that it exploded. It didn't actually explode.
no.
It triggered its own self-destruct sequence just before SpaceX got to press the button. So
Yeah, and in fact, Scott Manley explained it really well in his video, which I'm going to struggle to find. And what he actually explained
to activate the flight termination system and destroy the rocket? Well, after some conversations, I think I have an answer. This photo by Jack Baer shows the flight termination system as a couple of boxes. They contain explosives and they're able to knock a hole in the tank. Now watch the tumbling booster as it acquires a new leak in the second stage, and then seconds later the first stage. So if the flight termination system just knocks a hole in the tanks and doesn't cause enough mixing of fuel and oxygen and spark to cause an explosion, The tanks will just leak out and lose pressure over time. We have big tanks, small holes, and potentially new pressurant being injected to maintain the tank pressure. But the pressure will eventually begin to drop, and with it, the pressure stabilization effect on the tanks, making them less rigid as the aerodynamic forces build up until the vehicle breaks up. And from initiation to breakup, that took about 50 seconds.
There you go. I think that's what you were going to say, Pete. Basically, they did terminate it, but it takes time to actually pull apart. But hey, it was exactly what Elon said. No matter what happened, it was going to be spectacular.
It was very exciting.
Well, he said there was a 50-50 chance of it being successful, but 100% chance of it, you know, being
Exciting.
Exciting.
And
Excitement guaranteed, I think, were his words. Yeah. Excitement is guaranteed, which it definitely was.
It's going to be very interesting for the next launch, though, with the amount of data they collected.
Oh, yeah. And it's incredible that they're ready to go in a couple of months.
Yeah.
So these things, when they finally, you know, get them all sorted, they'll be able to produce one of these every 3 days. Just absolutely incredible.
The thing is, they're going to have to replace a lot.
I was going to say it's going to be a bit more than a couple of months.
Because that is a hole.
That's fucked.
And that's the concrete's been stripped off the Rio. You know, that is pretty major. And just to relive the first part of the launch at least, just cop this.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3.
See that bit? Anyway, enough of that.
Now, I think the other problem is that all the liquid oxygen and so on storage tanks were right there.
Oh, there's some huge dents. You see, one of them's really caned. But I mean, obviously, Elon Musk was most worried about stage 0 because that's all the ground support equipment, and that's the stuff that cost an absolute ton of money. But yeah, it's only a flesh wound, eh?
Yep.
And what'd you say, Pete? Was it 1 or 2 months? Elon time?
Couple of months.
Couple of months?
Couple of months.
Not 2 weeks?
2 weeks, couple of months.
2 times 2 weeks?
They've got to dig a new trench and that sort of stuff, you know, flame diverting trench they'll need to do. So they don't have that shit happen anymore. So that'll be
already
new
dug it.
groundworks. Well, yeah, I suppose. They've done the groundwork, started with that. Just keep going that way.
I think it's NASA learned at California, Florida, which is the same sort of marshy, swampy, low area. They had to actually build up Pad 39A. I think it was 16 meters up in the air, because they could not dig down because the water table was like, I think it was half a meter below ground level. But anyway,
either way,
go SpaceX.
Awesome, yeah.
Alrighty, so I think I've run out of other stuff to do. But yeah, anyone's got any other questions or comments?
I watched the Cybertruck. Oh, go Pete.
Go Pete. Go PV.
Paul.
Okay, I was just saying I watched Farzad. He had Corey from Monroe Live and Associates on this week, and they were talking about, you know, that photo for the Cybertruck in the deck. You know, in the was it the impact?
Yeah. Can you send me the link? It was.
Well, they're the ones afterwards.
So
so they went into detail about that whole thing.
Yeah. I'm just going to try and bring
really
up
cool.
the shareholder deck.
Oh, see, Grumpy.
That's IR Tesla. Unless James beats me to it, but investor relations. Yeah, it was a really good photo. There were 3 photos of the Cybertruck. There we go.
Yeah, that one.
And like,
And like
what's
they-
cool
they-
is that's the air compressor. Oh, that's the air
Yeah.
storage for your air suspension. Autopilot
yeah, he was-
camera.
There's talk about like the front part there, you know, like it being a cast,
Front
one
casting.
cast piece.
Yep.
And the high voltage cables and that sort of stuff there. So yeah, it was a really good talk actually. I'll have to.
And so they're learning how to do things they should do, which is put the windscreen in the center. So he's just measuring it for micrometer to make sure it's the right place. And then this is the part of the line. But I mean, look, they're only fitting it out. They're not actually.
Yeah.
They haven't finished. But it's, and then you can see there's a, oops, up there, there's a Model Y just cruising around. But there's a lot of detail in these photos. That the other thing too is that one of the Tesla owners clubs in Europe got Sandy Munro and I think Corey as well. I'm not quite sure.
The
Into
Austrian
a
guys.
gigafactory. Oh, is that public knowledge? Is it?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
Corey
okay, cool.
talked about it on the
Oh,
on the
right,
thing.
great. Okay,
so
cool.
they got separated off because they speak English and they knew who they were. So they had their own factory tour at Giga Berlin. But keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all good. No, I'm glad you said that because I wasn't gonna. But since you have, I can.
Oh, it was public
so-
knowledge. It was in that same
Yeah,
video.
no, totally cool. So they were very grateful. Unfortunately, it hasn't ended well for the Austrian club for any future tours, apparently. So, but anyway, but hopefully we'll get some good information out of Sandy Munro because I think he talked about the new drive units because he said they had the filter, must be an oil filter or something.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, they
need to
went into
hurry up
major detail about that tour and the Cybertruck. It was a really good talk. I can't remember what the hell it was called. I should look it up.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, what we want to see is
Dude,
that
where's my
full
truck?
of more machinery. Like, yeah, where's my Cybertruck? Hurry up. Just hurry up. I mean, it's bad enough that I've got to wait for a Model X. You know, surely do I have to wait even longer for a Cybertruck?
I saw there was that the Driven they were showing like in Australia, Model X? They had a Plaid.
That's for what's the name testing for Australian conditions and stuff.
Oh, weather
Yeah, like-
testing. That was a Model S, I think.
Yeah,
No,
there's
I
a Model
saw it
S
this
and a
week.
Model S and a Model X. There's two
Right.
units. They're both black. I think they've
Left-hand
both got-
drive?
Yes. Oh, yes. Left-hand drive models doing like summer testing.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, James has got. Yeah. I think James has done it.
Come on.
Oh, it
And
goes
we're
for an
live.
hour and 36 minutes. Oh, let's just watch it. Come on. Okay, let's just watch it live. No, only joking.
Yeah, that's the one. Fazed's
Yeah,
really
cool.
good. He used to work for Tesla.
Right.
So you get all this information that you normally don't from other YouTubers and stuff. It was really
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
It was a great talk. I was very excited. I want my
Yeah,
truck
awesome.
now. Sorry, go.
Messiah.
Can you, Paul, can you
Mesbahi.
chuck it in the chat?
I thought, isn't that what
He
James
did. No,
just did?
James did. James has chucked it in
Oh,
the
okay.
chat.
James
Oh,
just
yeah,
chucked
there
it
it
in
is.
the chat.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Fazed Masbadi. Yeah, he's really good. He does a lot of full self-driving. Like he lets the car drive itself and that sort of stuff. He's really good information. He's very chilled sort of fellow, and he's opened stuff up to like his community and stuff like that. So they all talk. Oh, that one with the parents and the wife, they're just driving, letting they have a Model Y. But yeah, just his information is really good. Very insightful. It's like watching James Stevenson sort of stuff, you know, chilled.
Hello,
relaxed.
friends. Yes.
Yes. Here's my dog Loki eating while I talk about.
He loves his dog.
Enough
said.
Enough said. You should love
See
your
you,
pets,
Richard.
just don't love your pets. See you,
Oh,
Richard.
Richard, before you go,
No, not me. I was just waving goodbye to Charles. He was going.
Charles. Oh, goodbye,
Chuck.
Charles.
I'm normally right
sorry,
here
Chuck.
at the end.
Bye, Chuck.
But go on.
It's okay. Good to see you, mate. We'll see you in the future next time.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Richard, before you go, I wanted to show you this, which I thought you might be interested in. You might have seen it already because it was in the impact report, Tesla's impact report.
Oh,
so
no, I probably
they're
haven't.
basically
But the 200
showing
pages.
the degradation of
Oh,
Tesla batteries
no,
after
I
200.
I actually saw that on LinkedIn, and that then prompted me to work out what it was for both the S and the X, and so I chucked my tuppence in on the electric comment. And it was only because they asked for
We get to
feedback on it. So
Right, yep. But yeah, you can see
So it was 8.5%.
20,000 kilometers.
It was 8.5% for the S and 11.5% for the X.
Oh, that's good.
And was that under the battery test, Richard? The actual one under the service screen?
No, I haven't actually done that. I've literally just gone on what you said. Because you said the original X range was 380 at 100%, right?
Yeah, the main one I remember is at 90 it was 354, and I think when I sold it, it was about 308. Is that right? At 90?
Yeah,
it
varies 307 to 309 around there.
Yeah, so it's roughly 10% ish, sort of ish.
Yeah.
And that was on a 90 kilowatt hour pack.
Yeah.
Never was.
Which we all know better, don't we, Jordan?
Which is why Tesla stopped doing that a few years ago, because I think they feared being held to task.
Yeah, I just went off what you said. It was 380 at 100%, and
yeah, I think
what it is now, which was 340 at 100%, and and the original owner of the S said it was 425, and now it's 390. So yeah, it worked out to be 11.5, which I mean, it will probably be slightly under that, I'm guessing, because it's obviously the equivalent of 140,000 miles, and they said that was at 200,000. So it will probably be 1% or 2 or 3 below that, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have to do another 100,000 Ks in it and then tell you. Which I think we will.
Well, I think Rob's done 295,000 Ks in his S.
Excellent.
And I did 220 in the X, 30 in the Y, and a number of thousand Ks in the performance Y. So I'm trying to catch up. Anyway. Alrighty. And yeah, so the impact report, that was actually really good because it incorporated, because that's where you got it from, didn't you, Pete? Was the impact report for the charging metrics. And the cool thing was that they actually compared the current state of the world's energy use, which is 165 petawatt hours per year, and then they just compared it to what you need in a sustainable renewable economy, which is just a bit over half of that same amount of energy. So the difference between actually what we're doing in renewables and where we need to go is only about 3 times the size if we can get rid of all this waste, that was one of the really good bits of that impact report. And as Tesla said, it's basically a message of hope for the world.
Yeah.
And the one graph they didn't have was the business as usual case, with all the trillions of dollars invested in fossil fuel industry, and comparing that with the mere 10 trillion that you need to transition the world to a sustainable energy future, which is just a rounding error to many things. Were any other good points in there, Pete, on the impact report?
I think they usually have an update on the autopilot's safety and Tesla's safety versus average cars. So that's always interesting to see. I don't remember it varying too much. So it's usually what are the numbers? I think it's the chance of having a crash in the US in a average car is 1 in about 500,000 miles from memory. In a Tesla, it's about 1 in every 2.5 million miles.
Yep.
And with the Tesla with autopilot on, it's roughly between 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 million miles. So it's autopilot's anywhere from 8 to 10 times safer. What's different now, though, because the two stacks have been combined, previously the criticism was, well, the problem is with autopilot, you only really turn it on highways and freeways. So it's not really, really comparing apples with apples, because, in the city and, you're more likely to have an accident. Whereas maybe not so much this quarter, but, the quarters coming, a lot of that will be in the city now as well, because with FSD beta. So, and I don't think those numbers will change too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
one
we'll
of
see
the,
how valid that criticism was.
yeah, you're right, because they do get accused of cherry picking. What do you call it? Not genres. Cherry picking conditions.
That's
Yeah. One thing that was interesting was this graph of the amount of CO2 emissions for the lifetime of the vehicle. So obviously the EV is in green, so it has got some more emissions when you manufacture it. But then really that almost breaks even after the first year. And then I think they're saying in America, cars often last for about 17 years. And at the 17-year mark, you've basically got 55 tons of CO2 less emitted from an EV than a conventional ICE car. And that's the lifetime emissions.
Yeah, I had a discussion with a guy at work like the day before this. He was giving me shit about my car. So then when the impact report came out, I just dropped that straight in. And Teams went, here you go. Just download it straight to him. Enjoy.
And Tesla have obviously announced a 100% renewable supercharger network. So, whether that's going via offsets or whatever, the fact is every bit of energy coming out of the supercharger network is either manufactured with renewable energy or by sources or offset. One thing they didn't show that was absent was, I think last year's report showed that Tesla Energy had produced just slightly more energy for all of the manufacturing of the cars and all of their supercharging and all their energy use, and it had just slightly exceeded by the Tesla Energy solar power production in the lifetime since the cars was first made. That's now absent, but that's because, of course, Tesla increased their fleet by 50% last year. Increased production, by 50%. And they haven't done so with solar panels. So that little factoid has sort of quietly been shelved. So now there is more energy embodied or used by the cars than Tesla has created so far.
Yeah, I think it'll be a while before they'll ever catch that, because they just passed 4 million cars. So they're just ramping up, man.
Yeah, exactly. But and the thing is, it's not up to Tesla to make solar panels per se. They don't necessarily make them any more efficiently than anyone else. That's kind of a mass market thing that a lot of other companies have done. And in Australia, you wouldn't buy a Tesla solar panel because I think they're a lot dearer than the
too bloody expensive.
All the other stuff. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's pretty cool that they bring out this impact report. I don't think there are any other car manufacturers that bring out a similar report.
No.
So that's something that Tesla does that no one else is bothering to do. So
or publish their safety results or accident results.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not many car manufacturers that are changing the way they do plants and building new plants for that matter. And, showing that they're they're more sustainable in doing so. So, you know, Tesla just can't help but win, and they've actually deployed 32 megawatts. Sorry, 32 megawatts.
Yep, you're right.
No, yes. Oh
Yep.
no, that's right. 32 megawatts of solar,
Mhm.
and that actually increased 50% from last year. I think it was.
Mm.
I think it was 50%, which is pretty cool. And they actually did show, which was pretty interesting. They did show on recycling that they've actually started to munch up their sealed up battery packs. And unfortunately, this is a really long list. This is one that is important to us. Chargers that just work.
Mm.
And there's
Yep.
their uptime in the last 5 years. That's 99.95%.
I would love to see that for some of the other networks. I'd hazard to guess it'd be somewhere around the 70-80% mark, if that.
Yeah, great, but
Absolutely. So that was really cool to see. And I think they define uptime as at least 50% of the nozzles have to work.
Yeah, right.
So,
Okay. I
yeah,
thought he
they-
was. I thought he was at least one of the, because they do
No,
minimum
so-
3 stalls at any one charging.
I didn't
So-
understand that.
Nor do many people, Siri. So yeah, Uptime Supercharger sites reflects the average percentage of sites globally that had at least 50% of their daily capacity functional for the year.
Of their daily capacity functional. So that's a fairly high watermark.
Yes. 50% of their daily capacity functional for the year. Actually, I don't even know what that means. Uptime reflects the average percentage of sites globally that had at least 50% of their daily capacity functional for the year. That means that 99.95% of sites had at least half function for the whole year, unbroken. That's what I'm calling it. That's what it must be. So that's the reliability that we need to see up north in particular for the WIEV network, and perhaps even the NRMA network or highway.
Good luck.
No bet.
Yes, it's
Why won't they be put in service stations?
well, Ampol is 38 of them, or 35 or 38 between Yanchep and Mandurah. But I
BP are
think
doing a couple here and
in
there.
Perth.
I think there might be one in Perth. And I know there's the one, I think that's an Ampol as well, the one near the airport that's just gone up. But yeah, in the UK, pretty much every BP service station it's got a charger now, or he's putting one in.
And I think Shell as well.
And
I
Shell.
gue- Yeah, I guess that they can be supervised, but of course, after hours is the problem.
Yeah,
that's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they're locked up and then they lose the effectiveness.
Well, that's the biggest worry is vandalism. You know, that's a big worry for the WIEV network charges is if they get vandalised. Because as we know in Margaret River, it takes 10 seconds to cause $3,000 worth of cable damage by just swinging the cables swinging the plug like a cat and smashing it on the ground. And then you do $1,500 of damage per cable. Something that gets very damaged according
What
to
about
the
what about cameras?
yeah the Synergy and Horizon aren't investing in cameras themselves, but sometimes the locations that they're at has a camera anyway. So, for example, in Geraldton, at the multi-purpose facility where the chargers are, there is a camera there overlooking that area. So that's like vicariously looking. In Mandurah, where there's the RAC charger, there's always been a camera there, and people have smashed that charger several times because some people just don't care about cameras, unfortunately.
No, but they should be able to identify them and perhaps catch them, or have some sort of security system.
Yeah,
that would help.
right. Yeah,
Too hard?
it's just hard. It is hard. That's the problem. And like I said, Mandurah's shown the case where people just didn't care. James has kindly put up BP's awesome rollout map that they're planning, and it's on the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, good on you.
Because that's where the low-hanging fruit is, and they even missed out Tassie. Just as well Chuck's asleep, because otherwise he'd be upset. So that's BP showing a lot of commitment to WA. This is, according to Tesla's sustainability impact report. We can actually see this is one of their sealed up battery packs. It's one of the segments of the battery pack, and it goes into this big red thing, and it comes out just a little bit munched up. So they actually said that they're looking at 100 metric tons per week of recycling, and they're actually going next year. They're going into actual physical metals recovery, and they're going to get 300 million tons of. That can't be right. That can't be right. Anyway, of
That's
nickel.
300 tons.
Metric tons. Metric.
Yes. Yeah.
Small m, silly me. Metric
Yes.
tons. 300 tons. 300 tons of lithium, 900 tons of copper, 300 tons of cobalt, and 2,300 tons of nickel.
It's not too
which is
shabby.
pretty good. That's not too shabby at all. So, and they do actually. Sorry.
Oh, I've just seen Tesla go down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
good
mean,
buy.
like I sort of said in the
Yeah.
news, Elon Musk at the actual earnings call, he couldn't stress enough that they're more relaxed about what the actual margin is for each car. They've effectively said, we are going to continue with our 50% year-on-year growth of production, and we'll simply adjust the price of the cars to ensure that the demand meets that increased production. And if that means making a bit less profit, so what, he said, because, he's basically said that, when they solve full self-driving later this year, that there'll be a step change in the value of those cars, and also a step change in the income and value of Tesla, which is why Kathy Woods at ARK Invest has done a new base case of
1400.
2000.
No, 1400 was the base.
No,
What was-
so there's a bear case of 1400, a bull case of 2500, and an
Oh, yes.
expected case of 2000. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
no, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And we might as well just preface that with, apart from... Oh, sorry. I meant to say
The
this one.
following segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
Well,
James is such a good producer. Can you please get me ARK Invest's 2027 Tesla thingy? Because I love it when they talk about their Monte Carlo analysis and how they explain
yes.
the 1,000 scenarios that they've done.
Harold's just upset because he's got to host two parties now. The T1000 and the T2000. So
No, it's just the one. I'm now actually, since it's been such a great buying opportunity, I'm now looking forward to the 1,000 one. I'm no longer the 1,500 one. So
Yeah, but ARC Innovation is not doing brilliantly.
Oh,
because Tesla's tanking, that's why.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
36. Yeah.
It's about growth stocks with those guys.
Yeah.
They're a 5-year horizon. Don't worry about the quarter.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I watched an interview today with one of their guys from that on Stephen Mark Ryan's. It's brilliant. And the anchor keeps trying to bring her back to the quarter, and she keeps saying, no, we're talking about 5 years, and that sort of stuff. And that's what it is. If you believe in it, then you buy it and you hold it and don't worry about it.
Tesla is Kathy Wood's top.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is this will do. We can listen to CNBS.
You've been watching too much, Steve.
Holding in her ARC Innovation Fund, her flagship fund, and Kathy Wood joins us now exclusively. Kathy, it's so great to have you on the show. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Morgan. Happy to be here.
So much to discuss with you, but I do want to start with Tesla. Your reaction to those results we did get yesterday, and specifically the fact that the operating margin dropped pretty dramatically to 11.4%, certainly in focus for trading today. Does this change your outlook or your thesis around Tesla?
Not at all. In fact, curiously, we want Tesla to scale its units because each one of them now represents the potential for a robotaxi and a robotaxi fleet. Now, Elon says it's possible that he could launch that fleet this year. We think it's more like last year. But the robotaxi fleet is really going to be, or the robotaxi service is going to be, from a margin point of view, more like a SaaS business. And so we think that it's very smart to maximize units because they have so much option value now.
Yeah. I mean, but we've been hearing about the robotaxi fleet for some time. There's a lot of regulatory barriers to all of that, and certainly technological barriers involved too. So how soon can we actually see that realized? And given the fact that you tweeted earlier today that you've got a new valuation assessment of Tesla coming out, how does that fit into your price target for the stock going forward?
The price target for our stock, and I think it's just hitting now, for 2027, because we do have a 5-year investment time horizon, is our expected value is roughly $2,000, and that's within a range of $1,400 to $2,500, our bear and bull case. Now, just Morgan, on the regulatory side, I actually think regulations are working in Tesla's favor. For, I think, roughly 3 decades, the number of auto fatalities in the United States fell to the low 30,000 range per year. And they've turned around in the last 5 years and moved up to 45,000 plus. And I think the pressure is on the National Highway and Transportation Safety Association to change something. So it is looking carefully at Tesla's data. And during Investor Day, Tesla released some data that we don't think many people paid enough attention to. The most important one is that with full self-driving, a Tesla vehicle gets into an accident every 3.2 million miles. And that compares to 1 every 500,000 miles for the average car on the road.
Okay, so Kathy, hold on.
So I was going to cut Kathy short there because, yeah, anyway. James, you didn't find, I'll go to 3 minute, 3 minute mark. Oh, that was a 3. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Cool.
Still looking at the other one. Couldn't find that. But I found the $2,000.
Because what frustrates me, what I'd love to see.
Good afternoon.
Is ARK Invest's 5-year prediction of Tesla's share price from 5 years ago. If they did that, and I want to see.
It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, Harold. I had a look at exactly that.
But where'd you
And-
find it? Because I couldn't find them, Pete. I couldn't find them. I
Yeah.
got to the 2024 one and the 2025 one.
There's an article on the internet. I think it's from Seeking Alpha or one of those sites, and where they're having a go at ARC's target, and this was in 2020, and I had to go back and adjust for the splits, of course, but yeah, they went too far off.
Right. Okay. Because that's what I mean. Look, for someone who's looking forward to hosting a T1000 party, but I think I forget what the number is now. We've worked out it's not T1000. It's going to be. Oh yeah, I know what it was. It was going to be. It was going to be the $841.38 party.
Oh,
because that's 4 lots of $420.69. But 1400 bear case. What she's saying is, by 2027, the lowest price that they expect Tesla to be is $1,400.
No, she's not saying that. She's saying that's the 25th percentile. So the chances that it will be under $1,400 is 25% or less, based on the Monte Carlo, the millions of scenarios that it's run.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Look, I actually think it's not I think it has merit the way they're doing it. And they're basically putting in 41 indicators, the 41 inputs, sorry, that go into the model, and then they've obviously got to put in a probability, and assign a probability to each one of those inputs, and then they let the model run all different variations of that. So yes, you could say it's subjective, because assigning the probabilities and picking the 41 inputs, etc., that's all subjective. So yes, it is. But yeah, I think it's quite a valid way of running a model.
Yeah, right. I'm just reading James's. Thanks, James. This was their one in 2020. So this is this one, which is they expected 7,000. This is pre-split in 2024.
But that's pre both splits, I think. So
yeah, so you've got to divide it by 15.
By 15, yeah.
So that's $466.
Yeah. So they weren't too far off. What did the stock get to?
No, it's for 2024. No, this is into the future.
Next year.
2024, next year. And their bear case is 1,500 divided by 15, which is $100. That's their bear case, which we got to $200 a few weeks ago.
Mm.
And their bull case is
That'd be wonderful.
But their current one is different. That I don't know why ARC. Maybe it's just. I think it should be on their front page. It's funny, their color scheme's changed too. But here we go. ARC's expected value for Tesla in 2027 is $2,000 per share. So yeah, 2,000, 1,400, and 2,500. And then they go through their Monte Carlo. So, I mean, their bull case is to sell 20 million. Oh no, that's probably, is that per annum? That must be per annum.
Yeah.
Yes. But the thing is, Tesla have never stated they're going to sell 20 million shares, 21 million cars by 2027.
No,
it's
only
really
20,
closer
30
to 10. But then they go into how they do their methodology.
Where they're getting that from, Harold? Where they're getting that from? If you take their current deliveries and scale it up at 50% per annum, which is what Tesla did say they were going to do, then you're not too far off by the end of 2027.
For 20 million, 21 million. No?
Correct.
The bull case? Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. And then you've got using Wright's law of electric vehicle gross margins never exceeded, 20%, 40%. And they do show percent of simulations indicating first year of Tesla's robotaxi commercialization. So, they're saying most of it's going to be a third of it's going to occur next year, a third in 2025 and then onwards. And none on their models predicted as late as 2029, presuming it does occur at all, obviously. And then they've got AI progress.
So Harold, I just found an article from CNBC, and they're saying Tesla stock going to $4,000. That would be an increase of 1,100%. So 11 times your money, says money manager Catherine Wood, and that was published on the 7th of February 2018. So 4,000 divided by 15, that's 266. So that's not like I said, didn't get far off.
No.
Okay. I mean, of course, past performance is not an indication of future performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And her shares haven't done much.
No. But
And then
they say
said,
the same shit about Apple and Amazon and that sort of stuff. And
Oh,
you have
Apple has. No, come on.
peaks and troughs and that sort of stuff.
No, Apple's consistently doing well.
Oh, if you actually look over
in
you look at they had, when was it? They had a drop. They had a bit of a drop.
But not much.
And then-
I bought at 30 and sold at 160.
Yeah. All right.
Well, none of
Well,
them have done that.
I was going to say I bought Tesla. What would it be adjusted now? $15, and I still hold it. So
Yeah, well, that's good.
This is their modelled share price outcomes in 1% bins.
Yeah.
So let's call it their 1% percentile is what, $400 maybe. So they're saying in 2027 there's a 1% chance it'll be $400 or less. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th percentile is $1,000 or less. And then everything after that is after our T1000 party, and no one will care. But
you get a Tesla. You get a Tesla.
So
that's when we
Harold,
go on, Pete.
In February of 2018, she went on to say that if we're wrong and all Tesla does is electric cars, so basing it on automotive alone, the bear case is $60, which is equivalent to $40. And the stock's at 160. So, 4 times as much. So, and that was the highest price target of any analyst at that time. Mind you, they do 5 years versus everyone else does 1 year.
Well, and I do remember when Tesla first proposed the CEO compensation scheme. I think it was the 10-year CEO compensation scheme, and laughed to a mate of mine and said, if Tesla 10 bags it, it's just going to be very nice. And I wouldn't care if Elon got another 10% of the company.
Absolutely.
And we kind of laughed and went, yeah, if only Tesla could be that good in 10 years' time. And that was achieved in a matter of 3 years.
It was,
or less, 3-ish years.
Wasn't too long.
And they 10 bagged from a market cap of 60 billion or 50 billion to beyond 500 or 600 billion in just a few years.
Yeah, they haven't done like another CEO compensation package. I thought they were going to bring that up to the investor. Oh, dickhead, next month. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yes,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Next month is a share hot. Well, it's not on the agenda.
No.
I don't think it actually was ever voted for, was it? I don't know if it needs to be voted for at a general meeting.
So basically, Elon is volunteering his time.
Yeah.
Well, he's
working
got a
for
few
free.
shares. He's got a few investments that are in his favour.
But I mean,
you know,
what other CEO do you know of? You know, plenty of CEOs got plenty of stock in the companies that they manage. But what other CEO do you know of that doesn't draw a salary?
I know one. Loki, the CEO
of Twitter.
Twitter.
I thought that was like Schmackos.
And, and in fact, Loki has not done. I know this as an absolute dead set cert. Loki has not even bothered to do a tax return. It's outrageous that the CEO of Twitter does not do tax returns and doesn't even wear clothes for that matter. It's just rude.
And he licks himself and does all sorts of
Well, let's not get into too much detail of what CEOs do in the privacy of their corporate office is their business.
But he does it in public. That's what's outrageous.
Well, what do you expect from the CEO of Twitter? And for those of you wondering what the hell are we talking about, Elon Musk did quite proudly pronounce at the now infamous BBC interview that he is no longer the CEO of Twitter. His dog Loki is. But anyway, back to this. I just want to keep looking at this graph going, well, so there's a better than 93% chance that we'll be having a T1000 party by 2027. In which case we can then have sexy cars, perhaps, on stage.
So cool.
Enough of that. But yeah, okay. But you win, Pete. I'll just take the bear case at 1400 in 2027.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay. Well, here's one for fun. When do you think we'll have the T1000 party, Pete?
I don't know when. Well, I know when.
Come on, that was the question.
Come on.
I don't know how much. So,
So what do you mean?
2027, actually, about midway, call it July 2026. I think we'll all be very happy with our investments. So,
Is that the T1000 party?
Yes.
Okay,
You're
so the
saying
middle of
2026.
2026.
No. I'll say August next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
$1,000. That's what's the share price right now?
Oh, it's an awesome buying opportunity now. It's like 155, I think.
So it's going to 6.5 bag it by when? Sorry, when did you say? Middle of next year.
August next year.
That's my birthday. Wow. I could have a hangover.
I reckon that the public's all just going to wake up because, you know, Giga Mexico will be on the way, Cybertruck will be everywhere, and things like that. And with Cybertruck, that'll raise the awareness of stuff really quickly.
And Generation 3, Paul.
Yeah.
They would have announced that, and you know,
the Highlander car, the Model 3. You know, there's all these things coming online, and the mega factories, you know, for the mega packs and all that sort of stuff will be online and all that.
And Tesla Semi will be ramped up.
Yes.
When someone watches it.
Somersaults.
Oh yeah, Optimus. Oh, that's right. That's a dark horse.
Yeah.
That's something. That's one
And
positive. Kathy Woods has
Dojo?
not priced Optimus or
No one
Dojo.
else. Yeah.
And,
Dojo, yeah.
So, by the way, Kathy Woods's target ignores Dojo, ignores Optimus. One thing it includes, which Tesla has never said anything about, is a ride-hail network. So, you know, an Uber or something similar. So they keep on saying that, you know, that's always an option for Tesla as a intermediate step to autonomy. So.
That'll be cool.
Yeah,
when do you think, Harold? Come
I
on.
just don't know. It'd just
He
be a
said
raw guess.
26, I
Actually,
said next
by the
year.
way, anyone that's watching this on YouTube, all three of you, can one of you please put in a comment? And that's not just a clever plug for a comment, although I guess it is. Please put in the comments what the timestamp was of this little discussion, so at least I can then put it as a timestamp so we can record it in perpetuity. So Pete's middle of 2026. Paul's gone early with 2024 August.
Yep, August.
Oh, look, I'll try and let's go Christmas 25th of December 2025. But I don't believe it. I just want it to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's just
I'm a
there's
huge
no
optimist.
reason. Yeah, it's in between yours and Pete's, basically, Paul. I think.
You're
So-
just trying to split the difference, Harold.
Well, because I just got no idea. Because
None of us do.
October
No.
27.
Oh, that's a safe
October 27. Oh, that's a bit safer.
I'm not
That's
optimistic.
Yeah, I like that, Peter.
I think October 7.
Probably the
Yeah, I
most
like that.
realistic, but
because that's at the low end of the bear market, bear thing of Kathy Woods's. Yeah, right. That's clever.
Yeah.
Well, because if you said something like the year 2070, well then that'd probably be obvious because
we'll all be dead by then. So.
That's right. Yes, many of us will, and the others, and those others of us wouldn't even know how to spell Tesla anymore. So, yeah,
We're all just brains in the jar.
that's right. We'd have probably 100,000 probes in our brains analyzing us, or whatever. But yeah, actually, with the Optimus, that is one great unknown,
That's huge.
and
Yeah.
that in itself could be just as big for Tesla as, say, the App Store is for Apple.
Yeah.
And Apple Music, for that matter, is for Apple.
Definitely. Well, it's
But
like
isn't Solo going gangbusters? And no one ever includes the Solo. I think that's enormous potential.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the solar panels, Pete, but definitely the storage, yeah, for sure. Because
Well,
I think that was
Well, yeah, but yeah, I think it's the rate of this. I think there's still a potential there, but it went to other countries. At this stage, it's only the US, isn't it? But that's a big enough of itself.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's where sort of Tesla is almost by definition a diversified company, because they've got sort of, even though it's all, advancing the world's take up of sustainable energy, it's in different transition. It's in different buckets. So you've got the energy storage. I'm just trying to find their graph, which they basically showed was an exponential graph for their energy storage business.
Right, James.
Which
Hey, James.
is, see, James, thanks for everything you've done on the producing side. It's awesome. Just trying to find their graph.
What was at the time?
But it's basically an exponential growth of their energy business. And they did also show how good the AI in their auto bidder was to actually extract value from the grid. And and if I take a clip of that, again, it's just like, it's like Apple making money on Apple Pay. For every time you use someone else's credit card, they get a small clip. And if Tesla makes a bit of money on auto bidder, and brings auto bidder to every person that owns a Powerwall, and you can all start making money. They were showing.
If you look at it now, the potential is enormous.
Yeah, it is, and that was one thing Tesla did say that was sort of new, is they said that they are actually an energy business, and they'll be in the energy distribution and retail business and generation business.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean that's got a lot of potential, and I think Cathie Wood has actually incorporated energy into their model. I think they've done. I'm pretty sure they have, but like Pete said, not the Optimus.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So, all right. So Pete's going October 27. Sorry, Peter Ship's going October 27.
Yeah.
Peter Petrosky's going June 2026. I'm going Christmas 25. And Paul's just going all out.
Going nuts.
Going nuts at August next year. Oh, wow.
I just want to retire, man.
I'll have to get that booking in for the RAC Arena. Might just go crazy and rename it for a day. Could be the Tesla Arena. Ah, dearie me. We'll have to try and get a Tesla Semi grey imported from somewhere and a Cybertruck. That's going to cost it. That's going to cost, but it'll be worth it. Anyway.
Sorry, but the Semi Australia, that'll be unbelievable.
Oh yeah, look, and it'll be easy to homologate once they sort out the width issue, which they will, because there's no right hand or left hand drive.
Yeah. What's the current price for the 3-mile one? It's 150,000, was it 130? Because the federal government, the state government just announced 125 buses for 130. You know, I might have the figure up front, but those figures to me, Italy's it's got to include charges, but they're astronomical. I just wonder where all these figures from these governments.
So it was less than 200 buses, wasn't it? It was 100. You had 100.
130.
25 or 130. I might have the number front, but it's in that order. But that was,
sorry, Pete, you're really breaking up there badly.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So, do we know what the bus announcement was? It
was,
WA buses.
I think it was 130 electric buses.
It was 130 buses and 25 million the other way around. Something order.
Buses. Here we go. 125. Sorry. The $250 million program will deliver 130 locally built. What? So that's 250 mil for 130. That's 1.92 million each.
There's also the charging infrastructure for them, but still, even that's expensive.
Well,
they're building them in WA. That's probably why.
So according to Alex,
unbelievable.
So according to Alex Condon from WA Today, so it's going to be a $250 million program for 130 locally built buses and charging infrastructure at key depots.
Too much in the building aspect because they know how to do that and they do it well. But the electrification of those seems unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
because their codes are good.
Oh, sorry, Pete, you're breaking up. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Wi-Fi or something. You're still like breaking up into segments. But yeah, but I mean, a lot of that cost might be startup costs because they're going to have to manufacture them from scratch, or build jigs and all that sort of stuff, and source probably second source battery units and drive units and all that sort of stuff. But and the charging infrastructure, they'll charge money for as well.
But the bodybuilders already got that now. Do that now.
Yeah, that's right. So really, it's just the components. But geez, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Nearly. Well, even if you call it $1 million, if you say that half of it is for the buses and the other half is for the infrastructure, that's still $1 million bucks a bus. That's a pretty expensive bus. But anyway,
pick you up at the door.
I mean,
sorry,
they could just.
We missed that. We
sorry,
need to get your Starlink, Pete.
Well, Wi-Fi is normally, but that pick you up the door.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting like every third word.
Yeah, we're getting every third. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, mate. It's it is what it is. Alrighty. Yeah. Well, since Tesla's just tanking, let's just see if its Tesla share price will work. Oh, it wasn't green. 150.
Yeah.
153.
Yeah, 153. So it's a bit of a buying opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
Leonie won't let me buy anymore. I do, but she won't. It's well, technically that's her money now. So.
Oh well, we're not even getting into anyone else's money. It's bad enough investing your own.
I've done yeah, I'm all in.
That's it. Well, that's good to know.
All in, but my Australian shares is like a really small percentage. If you did the whole thing as a graph, yeah.
Yes, my pie chart has got like this tiny little slither, like you make with a razor blade.
Yeah,
but
that's that. Oh, and I've got property as well, but yeah, the majority is Tesla now. So.
That's it. No, it's all good. Look, they are diversified. Yep, and you like the product, and that's one of the most important things is to actually like the product.
Yeah.
I think even what's the name said that that old guy, Warren Buffett.
Yeah, and Tesla's like 12 companies in one, so and they all seem to be making a profit now, or on a projection of that. If they can get that robot working, could you imagine that? Like, if they charge 50 grand or something a robot, companies would buy it up because no more sick leave, no more holidays, no more conditions, no more HR department, blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that is going to be very interesting, and that's something that will probably rear its head in the next few years.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, ChatGPT is going to put me out of a job because you won't need procurement people anymore doing tenders and stuff. You go, Chat, just do it for me.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are using ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, it's awesome fun.
It is. It really is. One day I should get ChatGPT to do this whole program. What could possibly go wrong? That could be a relief. I mean, there's people now that actually get they ask ChatGPT and they give it links to various other programs that clone their voice. I'm not sure if it does imagery as well, but yeah, it's just out of control what it can do now. And that's only version 4.
Yeah.
So it's just, it is just out of control. But
Google's got a AI bot that can recreate like a TV presenter. So it's a video and it looks incredibly realistic and it mimics the person's voice, their appearance, the way they move, their idiosyncrasies. It's quite scary, actually.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Uh-oh. And it just can't even keep stable video. That's a bit of a problem. Oh. It's all right, Pete, you missed it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
He was looking at his phone.
He was looking at his phone. He wasn't paying attention. He was just not. Anyway, cool. All right. Cool. Well, unless we've got any last bits, we did we did the quarterly earnings call. The shareholders meeting is next month, May.
Yes, May something. Oh, what was it? 16th or 19th or something like that. Yeah, because I already voted. Have you guys voted yet?
No, because I keep my shares in one of the big banks' share doodads, the international share thingy, and because of that, I don't have proper voting rights.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think just trying to find
because
a date.
JB Straubel coming back.
Yes, JB.
Board
So
member.
there's been a bit of controversy there. So it's actually. They're holding it on the 17th, on Wednesday, the 17th of May at 4 a.m. Perth time. So it would be the 16th of May US time, probably 4 p.m. the Eastern time and whatever Central time. But it's basically Wednesday morning on the 17th of May, 4 a.m. Nice and early, which is cool. And JB Straubel is up for election.
Yeah.
You won't need to be sick. Just be up early, Paul. You'll be right.
Yeah, I probably will be. It was like the last thing. I was like, no, I'm not getting up. And then I woke up and I'm like, I'm about 10 minutes before I get on to the last.
I did a Nigel
quarter
Farrier,
call.
and I did a Nigel Farrier and watched it later.
Yep.
The earnings call.
Yep. The earnings
But
call.
anyway.
That's right. Yeah, I was up 10 minutes before it started.
Ah, very good. All righty. Well,
cool.
Pete, unless we've got anything else, has anyone got any last drinks before we call this awesome show? Whoops. A night. Sorry, I just got to get my mouse to work properly. Yeah, any last drinks, or we might just zip it up here. All right, we go on the zip. So, Pete, how would you round out this awesome show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. It's been an awesome week. It's going to be an even better one next week. I hope you all take care and look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
I know.
Cheers.
Good night. Have fun.
See ya.